Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has harem with Ino and Sakura. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by jrvegeeta and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Shocking Truth. It was night time in Konoha, otherwise known as the Hidden Leaf Village. Unfortunately, it wasn't as quiet as it should be. Shouts and yells could be heard. The villagers were drunk with rage as they chased a young blonde-haired boy in an orange jumpsuit through the streets, trying to end his life. That boy is Naruto Uzumaki. Why were they doing this? Because to them, he was the beast that made them feel so helpless 10 years ago, the Kyuubi, aka the nine-tailed fox. Ever since the boy could remember, the villagers were always trying to kill him. Despite the Sandame's law and his protection, the villagers continued to ignore the facts. The boy was not the Kyuubi and that the Yandame asked that he be treated like a hero. Kill the demon! Die, monster! You'll pay for everything you've done to us. These were just a few of the comments the villagers screamed as they chased the boy through the streets. Why do they hate me? Naruto continued to ask himself. He had been asking himself this question for years, and for whatever reason, the villagers would always respond with, "You know what you did, you horrible beast," or similar comments. The boy was so caught up in his thoughts that he wasn't paying attention to where he was going, taking a turn into an alley, a dead-end alley. Naruto froze with fear upon realizing his mistake. He started to turn around to head out of the alley when the villagers rounded the corner, trapping him. His eyes widened in terror as he looked at the faces of the villagers. They had grins on their faces. Very cruel grins. "We finally cornered you, demon brat," the lead villager cackled. "I would ask you if you had any last words, but we only give those rights to human beings." Now then the villagers began to walk towards the boy with numerous weapons in hand, ranging from pitchforks to actual samurai swords. There were even a few ninjas in the crowd, although they were very few and far in between, since the majority of the ninja population didn't see the boy as the demon due to most of them having at least a basic understanding of sealing. Just as the villagers were about to attack the helpless boy, there was a flash of lightning. The mob was caught by surprise. What the hell? Lightning? The skies are clear tonight, was the thought of most of them. They turned their attention back to the boy only to find a man standing between them and Naruto. The man in front of them had what looked to be a yellow and black sports bike jacket with black pants, made out of the same material. He had a goatee with an almost shaved head. That's not what got the attention of the mob, however. It was the forehead protector that he wore, indicating that he was a shinobi. It had the leaf symbol, but also had a whirlpool-like design next to it. "There better be a good reason why you fools are trying to hurt a 10-year-old kid," came the man's low gruff voice. Most of the villagers looked into his eyes and froze in fear. They could have sworn that they saw his eyes glow, but not just from anger. The chunin in the crowd stepped towards him with kunai drawn. "What are you doing here, maelstrom trash?" the lead chunin demanded. "You didn't answer my question," the man responded, ignoring the insult. Seeing that the man wasn't going to answer his question without giving him an explanation, the chunin decided to answer. "That boy is a demon. He must die." The man heatedly stared him down. The shinobi were sweating a little. It was obvious that he didn't like their answer. "The kid doesn't look like a demon to me," he responded in a low, dangerous tone. "What would you know, fool? He's obviously the Kyuubi inhuman." For the chunin began to shout but stopped when he saw the man's eyes glow light blue. It then dawned on him what he just said and paled a sickly white color. "You," the man pointed to the now pale chunin with the big mouth, "just broke the Hokage's biggest law, you stupid jackass. That now makes you an S-class criminal." A stream of lightning shot out of his hands and hit the chunin dead on, dropping him to the ground. The other chunin leapt forward to attack him, only to find themselves struck with bolts of lightning and fell to the ground, their bodies completely numb. The man looked up at the mob of frightened villagers. "Yeah, I'm well aware of who this kid is. In fact, I happen to know where half of his family originated from. Be thankful none of them are in this village, or you wouldn't live past this week. Now scram!" he barked. The villagers didn't need to be told twice as they scurried away like cockroaches did when the lights came on in a kitchen. Sensing that they were no longer in danger, the man went to each of the chunin and used a kind of restraint made of electricity on them. After he finished securing the last chunin, he turned towards the boy. The boy was a little scared of the man's appearance, but his fears were put to rest when the man kneeled down to his level. "You okay, kid?" Naruto hesitated for a moment before slowly nodding. The man smiled. The boy then remembered what he said earlier. "Is it true you know who my family is, Lightning-san?" Naruto asked with hope in his eyes. The man chuckled at the nickname the boy gave him and nodded. "Yeah, I do, kid. The name's Cole McGrath, by the way." At that moment, 3 ANBU agents showed up, one with a dog mask that had silver hair, one with a cat mask that had long purple hair, and one with a snake mask that had short purple hair. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Dog asked, a hint of concern in his voice. "Yeah, I'm okay, Dog-san. If it weren't for this guy, the villagers would have gotten me this time," Naruto said. Dog nodded and then looked at the downed chunin. He then turned towards Cole. "Care to explain why these chunin are in La La Land at the moment, Cole-san? These bastards were leading the group of ingrates that were trying to kill the kid." That one Cole pointed towards the leader. Broke Lord Hokage's law pertaining to the boy. You think I care about that stupid law the old fool came up with? Every person in this village deserves to know who killed the fourth and the families of the ninja involved, the lead chunin sneered. He was about to say something else when he felt the hairs on his skin start to stand up. What you're feeling right now is a prelude to a lightning strike. That's twice you have pissed me off tonight. Do it a third time, Cole threatened in an icy cold tone. The chunin's eyes widened in fear. Cole didn't have to finish his threat as it was perfectly clear to the chunin what would happen. He then turned his attention back to the NBU. I'm going to take Naruto to have a talk with the old man. I'm getting tired of hearing about what these idiots do to him. He deserves to know about his heritage and his tenant, said Cole. The three NBU seemed somewhat alarmed. Telling the boy about his parents is fairly dangerous in its own right. However, telling the boy about the Kyuubi he holds could have grave consequences for Konoha in general. I understand what could possibly happen, but let's not forget, that moron you now have in custody already opened his big mouth. If anything, not telling the kid and letting him find out on his own would be the worst case scenario for everyone, especially Naruto. Cole said. Dog thought about it for a while. Dog, he has a point. Cat finally spoke up. He suffered so much for something he never had a say in or had control of. He deserves to know what happened. I agree with Cat, lazy ass. Came Snake. The villagers and a few idiots in our ranks have no idea how a seal works. Sensei wasn't very happy when that bill on teaching civilians about seals got shoot down by that old fool Danzo and a few of his civilian toadies. I've heard what this kid wants to be when he grows up, and he'll never accomplish that if he doesn't even know what the hell's in his own body. Dog lets out a sigh, finally giving in. Alright, Cole-san. You may go see Hokage-sama about this and request that the boy know everything. However, make sure that no one else is around before you discuss this with the Sandame. In the meantime, we'll deal with this trash. Cole nodded, then turned to Naruto. Alright, kid. We're headed to the Hokage Tower. There's some things that you need to be told by the old man. Naruto simply nodded as he and Cole took off. Sarutobi was enjoying a night of peace and quiet. He had finished his paperwork, and was now reading his favorite smut. He let out a perverted giggle. His student really did write some kinky stories. He then heard a knock at the door. He stiffened a bit, but calmly put his book away and went into Kage mode. Come in, Sarutobi said with authority. The door opened to reveal two of his favorite people in the village. Old man, we may have a problem, Cole informed. Sarutobi looked at Naruto and saw that he had a few cuts on his body. He also saw the look the boy had on his face. It was the face a child would make when they discovered the truth about Santa Claus. Sarutobi put two and two together and sighed. This was going to be a very long night, and for once, the paperwork wasn't the prime suspect. Somebody broke my law, didn't they? At this, Cole nodded. Some moronic chunin blurted it out while I was protecting Naruto from a mob of ingrates that were trying to kill him. I know you're just trying to protect him, but he's heard too much. I think it's time he knew about her. Sarutobi rubbed the bridge of his nose. This was something that he had hoped he wouldn't have to explain to the boy until he became a ninja, but it seems that Kami has other plans. Sarutobi let out a deep sigh before he began to speak. Naruto-kun, what do you know about the Kyuubi? Naruto simply looked at the Kage for a few seconds before answering. I know that the Yondaime killed the fox, but lost his own life in doing so. What's that have to do with me, Gigi? Naruto the old Kage began, but paused to think about how to break this to the boy. He wanted to be sure that there was no misunderstanding. Sarutobi took a deep breath before continuing. That story isn't entirely accurate. Yes, the Yondaime did face off against the Kyuubi, but he didn't kill it. Since the Kyuubi is a tailed beast, it can't be killed by conventional methods. He was working on a method to seal Kyuubi inside himself, but because the attack came sooner than expected, he fell 1 month short of finishing that particular sealing jutsu. The Yondaime had no other choice but to seal it into another human. Naruto looked a bit sad upon hearing that. That must have been hard for that person to have to deal with the demon inside them. Still, I can understand why the Yondaime did what he had to do. It was either him and the human sacrifice, or the whole village. I feel sorry for both of them, the boy said in a sad tone. Sarutobi smiled sadly at the boy's words and was mentally relieved. The boy will be able to handle what he says next. Granted, he will be shocked and a bit down on himself for a moment, but the old Kage would make sure that the boy knew the truth and not that garbage that Danzo spewed out to the civilian population. Naruto, because that sealing jutsu wasn't completed in time, the Yondaime's alternate seal had some restrictions. The host had to be someone else, as I mentioned before, but the other stipulation was that the human sacrifice had to be a newborn baby, his son. Naruto froze when he heard this. He knows that he was born on October 10th, the same day as the Kyuubi attack. Ever since he could remember, he had gotten hate-filled glares, shouts of demon and monster, and was even attacked. He also noticed how much he looked like the Yondaime. Despite his hyper-exterior and goofiness, Naruto was actually quite intelligent. Still, it was a shock nevertheless. That baby was me, wasn't it? Naruto barely said above a whisper. Sarutobi was taken by surprise by the boy's answer. Granted, he felt that Naruto wasn't stupid, but the old Kage didn't think that he was this intelligent, either. He made a mental note to give the boy a private IQ test before entering the academy. The boy seemed to be hiding his intelligence, and he wasn't going to risk betraying the boy's personal reasons for doing so. Turning his attention back to the topic at hand, he responded to Naruto's question by nodding. Naruto, I know you are an intelligent boy, but let me make this clear to you, you are not the Kyuubi. Those fools that keep calling you that have no idea how seals work. If they did, I would wager that at least half of them would respect your sacrifice. Also, your father only picked you because he felt that only you would be strong enough to handle this power without letting it go to your head. Sarutobi exclaimed. Naruto seemed to ponder this for a moment before finally nodding, telling Sarutobi that he understood. Naruto understood that he wasn't the Kyuubi, but he did have one question. Gigi, if some of the villagers would have respected me if they had a basic understanding of seals, then why don't you make basic seal studies a mandatory course in civilian schools as well as the ninja academy? I actually tried to do that, Naruto. Unfortunately, a man named Danzo and a select few council members on the civilian council vetoed my bill. I can tell you that the shinobi council wasn't very happy to see that bill go up in flames. Sarutobi explained with a frown upon mentioning the name of his political advisory. They weren't the only ones, kid. Cole added. Master Jiraiya and Master Orochimaru were pissed off about that bullshit Danzo pulled. Unfortunately, Master Jiraiya had to be sent out on a long-term mission, but at least Master Orochimaru stuck around to devote some of his time to teach part-time at the academy about seals to students who were even remotely interested. Sarutobi nodded in agreement. He couldn't help but be proud of Orochimaru. He was on the verge of darkness, but something caused him to give up his controversial experiments and walk back into the path of the light. He even turned down the position of Hokage, believing that he wasn't deserving of such a title. How do you feel about all of this, Naruto? Sarutobi asked. To be totally honest, I'm not entirely happy about what my dad did, but I don't hate him. In fact, I think he's a hero for what he had to do, Naruto responded, meaning every bit of it. Granted, he would probably punch the guy in the gut if he ever met him for sealing a demon fox inside him, but right after that, he would give him a hug. The boy was happy that his father had faith in him to be the Kyuubi's jailer. The blonde-haired Hokage was and still is the reason he wants to attain that very same title one day. I am glad to hear that, Naruto-kun. I will say that not many people could handle the kind of information that you just learned tonight. When it comes to becoming Hokage, you have the right attitude, Sarutobi said with a smile. Naruto gave the old Kage his trademark fox grin. That's when the boy noticed an exposed wire sticking out of the floor. Hey old man, why do you have a wire sticking out of the floor? Naruto questioned as he reached down to pull on the wire a bit to see what it led to. Sarutobi and Cole looked to see what the boy was talking about and were stunned at what they saw. Naruto had what looked to be a barely noticeable electrical current going through him. At first, they thought he was being electrocuted, but after a few seconds, they saw by his facial expression, it looked like he was trying to make sense of something. After a short moment, a small zap could be heard. Naruto let go of the wire and slowly looked up at Cole and the Sandaime. Gigi, I don't know how to explain this, but I think you need to confront that Danzo guy about putting spy equipment in your office, Naruto explained with a slightly confused look on his face. While Sarutobi was still a bit stunned at what just happened, Cole had a good idea what was going on. So he did inherit it after all. Based on what he just said and that look on his face, this is probably the first time he's used his power, or it's the first time he's ever noticed it. Looks like the kid is going to have to know about his mother, too. Naruto Cole spoke up, breaking the brief silence. I know you're confused. Trust me, I've been through what you are going through right now. Although in my case, discovering my powers cost thousands of people their lives. Cole thought sadly. Seeing that the boy and even Sarutobi were waiting for him to say more, he continued, Naruto, the power that you have is what you guys call a Kekkai Genkai. This shocked both the young and the old. Sarutobi was the first to recover. I don't see how that's even possible. Minato never showed signs that he had a Kekkai Genkai. That's because it doesn't come from Minato, old man Cole responded, leaving the rest for them to figure out. My mom, Naruto whispered. He turned to Cole and gave him a pleading look, a look Cole assumed meant please tell me about my mother. Naruto, what do you know about Uzushiogakure? Sarutobi spoke up. Naruto was silent for a moment before finally answering. I read a brief history about it in the shinobi archives. It was a village on the verge of becoming the sixth great shinobi nation when it was destroyed by the Hidden Rock village. What's this have to do with my mom? Naruto asked. Trust me kid, the Hidden Maelstrom village has everything to do with your mother because that's where she is from. Cole explained. Seeing that he had Naruto undivided attention, he continued, as I mentioned earlier, the Hidden Maelstrom village was invaded and destroyed by Rock during the Third Ninja War. What makes it worse is that it was an unprovoked attack since the Maelstrom had made it clear that they wanted no part in the war whatsoever and stayed neutral. So why did IWA attack if Uzushio didn't side with anyone? Naruto asked. Because the ruling Tsuchikage during that time was a warmonger. Hell, the Leaf Village only entered the fray near the end of the war when the Rock sent Minato a scroll declaring war against the Leaf for no other reason than that the Leaf was too peaceful. Naruto didn't verbally respond, but it was clear to Cole that he was upset. If he thought that was bad, he's really not going to like this next part. The leaf finally managed to help end the war, but it came at a price. The Tsuchikage felt that the leaf wasn't being aggressive enough, so they did the most deplorable act that any military could do. They invaded a town close to the edge of fire country that had no military might whatsoever and killed everyone in the village. You mean? Naruto gasped in horror. Cole nodded sadly. Yes. Everyone. The sick bastards even broke into the town hospital and killed everyone there. Even 2 rooms filled with newborns where Cole couldn't even finish. Even after all of these years, it still made him sick to his stomach. It was one of the reasons why he swore to kill the 3rd Tsuchikage and anyone loyal to him if he ever got the chance. Those inhuman bastards, Naruto hissed, his voice dripping with venom. If it was one thing the boy couldn't stand, it was people who attacked innocent and defenseless people. No argument there, kid. It was one of the most horrible things that I have ever seen and heard. That reason is why Minato decided to stop playing nice. The second he found out which battalion invaded that town, he hunted them down. Wait, Dad went after them without backup? Naruto asked incredulously. Believe me, kid, he didn't need backup. Once he found their camp, he offered them one chance to surrender since they were still in fire country. The leader, who just happened to be their head jonin of the rock village, spat in his face and told him that his battalion was going to raise one village every 3 days until the leaf surrendered and forced them hand over all of their civilian women and kunoichis. Naruto was beginning to hate the 3rd Tsuchikage and any people who were loyal to the bastard, which was saying something since Naruto doesn't even hate anyone. Even the villagers that abused him haven't even made it on to his shit list. Don't worry, kid. Those bastards got what they deserved. Minato used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, killing almost every ninja in that battalion in less than 20 seconds flat. But I'll have to tell you the entire story another time since we are getting off track here. Back to the destruction of Maelstrom. Rock didn't just send a whole bunch of ninja in there. Remember, Hidden Maelstrom was on the brink of becoming a great shinobi nation since they already had more military might than most of the Great Five except the Leaf. The Rock decided that it would be best to use something to cut their numbers down dramatically. Something I never expected to show up in this world. What? Naruto asked. Cole didn't say anything, but Naruto and Sarutobi could tell that he had some strong emotions for whatever this weapon was. After a silent moment, Cole finally answered, but his voice was dripping with hatred. The Ray Sphere. The what? Naruto inquired with a raised eyebrow. Even Sarutobi looked slightly puzzled. Seeing that the boy and the old Kage had no idea what he was talking about, he elaborated, albeit reluctantly. The Ray Sphere is a device that is designed to infuse a person with powers well beyond the capabilities of most humans. It's the reason I have my powers. If this thing does that, then how could it have destroyed half a village? Naruto asked. The Ray Sphere grants random powers to whoever activates it, but at a very high price. Once activated, the device levels anything within a 3-mile range. It took the energy of all of the people caught in the blast radius, and transferred it to the person who activated the sphere. Cole-san, if I remember correctly, the Yuzukage Tower was at the center of the blast. Sarutobi stated. You're right, old man, it was. The Tsuchikage sent the damn thing to the Yuzukage as a peace offering. Technically, the Yuzukage took the lives of most of the Maelstrom ninja, but the Yuzukage was unaware of what the thing could do. However, we all know that the Tsuchikage was the one responsible for what happened, so the remnants of Maelstrom and pretty much nearly everyone else in the ninja world never blamed our leader. Cole explained. If I may ask, Cole-san, where was my mother during all this? Naruto asked. Naruto saw Cole tense up a little at the question. Something told the boy that the lightning user's answer was going to be a doozy, and he was right. Your mother, Kushina, was in Yuzukage Tower, Cole said in somewhat grave voice. Naruto froze, his eyes going wide with shock. At that moment, all of the puzzle pieces came together, giving him the entire picture. My mother was the Yuzukage. Naruto nearly whispered, still in shock over hearing who his mother was. Despite the situation, both Cole and the Sandaime continued to be impressed with Naruto's intelligence. That's right, Naruto-kun. Your mother was one of the strongest ninja alive. Sarutobi confirmed. Naruto came out of his shock enough to continue to listen. Is she? Naruto began to ask, but stopped short of saying the word he didn't want to say. He just found out about who his parents are. He was ready to admit that he was truly alone. We don't know, kid. Cole answered somewhat unsurely. After the war ended, she married your dad in secret. During the Kyuubi attack, she gave birth to you. She was in good condition when we left her to go defend the village. After the battle, however, we found her hospital room in complete ruins with blood all over the place. We weren't able to identify any of the blood at the scene, but there is one thing that we are sure of, none of it matched your mother's blood. So you mean? Naruto said with hope in his voice. I do believe that she's alive, kid. However, Cole paused. It was obvious that even he was having a hard time with explaining this. Her whereabouts are unknown. Almost every Maelstrom ninja that I've talked to have no idea where she is either. I suspect that a couple of them know something, but if they do, they've refused to tell me. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned towards the Sandaime, who hands him 2 scrolls. Your parents instructed me to give you these when you learn the truth about the Kyuubi. I would image that there are some private things in there, so please read them when nobody else is around. Your heritage must be kept a secret for as long as possible until you are able to defend yourself effectively. Naruto nodded, putting the scrolls in his pocket so that he could read them later. Is there anything else, Gigi? Naruto inquired. The Hokage shook his head. That should be everything, Naruto-kun. Go on home and get some rest. Okay, Gigi? The boy then turned his attention to Cole. Will I see you again, Cole-san? Cole nodded. Yeah, you'll see me again, kid. Sooner than you think if things go right, kid. Cole thought. Naruto bowed to both men and jumped out the window. Sarutobi could only shake his head. I swear, the boy is like the two of my students. They never use the door. Cole could only chuckle. That's funny, because Lady Yuzakage always used to complain why most of her ANBU came through the front door when they were supposed to be Black Ops members. After a moment, he moved past the thought and focused on the old Kage in front of him. Sarutobi gave Cole an odd look. You didn't tell him about. I know, Cole said in a low voice. But if I tell him, it may lead to certain things that he's not ready to learn at this time. In all honesty, some of it is still weird even after all these years. Sarutobi nodded in understanding. Cole should have actually been dead back in his world. He had, in fact, activated the Ray Field Inhibitor, a device designed to remove the conduit gene from a living person, in order to stop the beast. The device was supposed to kill all conduits on the planet, but instead, he ended up in this world. That's when he had been found by ninja from Uzushio. Seeing that he had no other choice, Cole went to see Kushina, the Yuzakage of Uzushio-Gakure. After he told his story, Kushina believed that he could be a valuable asset to the village and let him become a shinobi of Uzushio. However, half a decade later, Cole was sent on a mission to investigate a strange phenomenon near a small village on the border of Whirlpool and Fire Country. When he had arrived, he was told that the strange event was coming from a lab on the far end of town. When he arrived at the lab and entered, he was unprepared for the person that he saw. Kessler. At first, Cole was about to nearly fly off the handle since Kessler was the main reason for most of the problems he had experienced. However, that changed when he realized the state his old enemy was in. He was dying. Flashback. Just how the hell did you survive, you bastard? Cole yelled as he began charging up a magnum bolt. Kessler noticed this, but instead of taunt Cole like he had done in their past encounters, he gave a deep, but sickly sigh. Don't bother, Cole. I don't have long for this world or any world for that matter. You've died before, Kessler. Cole shot back, still on guard. To be perfectly honest, I was supposed to die after our battle. Obviously, that wasn't the case. When you defeated me, my particles scattered before disappearing, I presume. Yeah, that did happen. Cole carefully replied. That still doesn't explain why you are alive. In a way, it does. That said, I honestly didn't think it was possible to end up across dimensions. Kessler then narrowed his eyes at Cole. Speaking of which, how did you end up here? You didn't lose to the beast, did you? No, I beat him. In fact, it was your ray sphere that created it in the first place. Cole yelled. However, to the young conduit's surprise, Kessler's eyes widened considerably in shock. No, that's not possible. The beast showed up in my timeline as well, the old man muttered. Despite his extreme dislike for the man in front of him, Cole took in what Kessler told him and gave it some thought. He then decided to actually ask about the man's past. Was there anything like the ray sphere your first time through? Kessler gave him a nod. Yes, there was. The first time I heard of its existence was when a company based in Boston called Massive Dynamic began developing it. Who the hell is Massive Dynamic? I've never heard of that company before in Boston. Cole responded, slightly confused. I know, and there is a reason for that, but I'll get to it in a minute. To answer your question, Massive Dynamic was a tech research facility, but not just any tech research facility. They researched things that most consider to be nothing more than theories. You know it as fringe science. The hell? Cole raised an eyebrow. They were that open about what they did. Was the government involved? Not really. The general public thought they were just a regular technology research facility, which isn't a lie. They researched things like the average number of concussions NFL players sustain and helped develop the helmets to reduce or prevent them. And to think, I was actually offered a football scholarship to play at Empire State. Too bad nobody in my timeline was researching that sort of thing, Cole silently mused. Kessler looked right at him and slightly smirked. Yes, it was too bad. You would have been their most celebrated running back since 1967. Cole looked a bit creeped out, but Kessler waved that off. I'm you, remember? Not to mention that one of my powers allows me to read minds, in a way. The difference is that where I came from, Empire City, was called New York City. I played for Syracuse before I was drafted in the first round by the Jacksonville Jaguars. You wouldn't know them, since in your timeline, you know it as New Jackson City. To a degree, yes, the government knew about it, but they believed that there was a higher priority at the time, that priority being a supposed invasion by extraterrestrials. The government believed you guys were going to be invaded by aliens? Cole asked incredulously. Yes. In fact, the FBI had a division that spearheaded that issue known as the X-Files Division, but again I digress. Despite that, the FBI felt that what Massive Dynamic was researching was worth investigating, so they opened a division to look into it. It was known as the Fringe Division. They opened up a division because they believed that stuff like teleportation was possible. I thought that as well. That all changed when I found out that one of my old professors was one of the key players in the fringe division. His name was Dr. Walter Bishop, and if you thought I was crazy, I do cold deadpan. What's your old professor have anything to do with all of this? Before the world fell apart due to the beast, he was the owner and CEO of Massive Dynamic. That got Cole's attention. With Massive Dynamic's ridiculous resources, Dr. Walter Bishop managed to do something that most thought was impossible. He founded dimensional science and theory. That's when Kessler stopped. Cole had wondered if something was wrong, when he spoke once more, but he sounded more fragile. I'm afraid that I might have been wrong about the beast in general, Kessler admitted, causing Cole's face to twist in total confusion. Don't get me wrong, the beast was quite bad and needed to be stopped, but I believe that the deterioration of my world was due to Dr. Bishop incorrectly opening a portal between my world and one that almost mirrors it. Parts of my world became unlivable due to a substance we called amber, which was used to keep black holes from forming and destroying our world. While the beast in my time was stopped due to being encased in it, my world was already in ruins with a population of less than 1 billion left on the planet. Wait, you mean to tell me that this world, and possibly mine, are different dimensions? For me, yes. For you, where you were born is your home dimension. This world, on the other hand, is a much different beast. It's so different, that I doubt that the exact point of divergence will be discovered in our lifetime. I am certain of one thing, the sage of 6 paths of this world knew about dimensional travel and may have kept records of his thoughts and observations somewhere. If you want all of the answers to this world, seek it out. Cole nodded, surprised that some of that made sense. Then, without warning, Kessler doubled over in what looked to be excruciating pain. Cole was about to ask what was wrong, but Kessler's hand suddenly shot up to his forehead, grabbed, and held on. Cole, my time among the living has come to a close. However, I will do what I should have done years ago. I will transfer all of my knowledge to you, Kessler said weakly, in between horrible coughs. What? Are you crazy? There's got to be a drawback to this, Cole argued. Yes, there is. This process will kill me, but how would that have been any different than what was going to happen to me in a few days? At least I know that my knowledge will be put to good use. There is one more thing, do not under any circumstances allow this knowledge to fall into the hands of the Uchiha clan. As Kessler's hands began to glow, he gave Cole one last look and said, Farewell, Cole McGrath. Please learn from my mistakes and make sure that this world doesn't suffer the same fate as mine. With that, Cole felt a massive load of information explode into his head before blacking out. End flashback. The amount of knowledge Cole received was beyond anything that he had ever experienced. He suddenly knew how to build anything that their worlds had built themselves. It was that knowledge that led to Yuzushiobikure becoming the most technologically advanced shinobi nation in this world before it seemingly met its end. Another thing that caught his attention was that he aged very slowly. He was just over 40 years old, but for some odd reason, he still looked just as young as his days in New Marias. Kessler did live well over 2 lifetimes due to his electrical powers. He and Naruto could possibly end up living that long since they had the same powers. Speaking of Naruto, Lord Hokage, there is one more thing that I would like to discuss. Cole spoke in a serious tone. Sarutobi nodded, indicating that he was listening. It's about guardianship of the kid. Why hasn't Naruto been adopted? Sarutobi let out a long, tired sigh upon hearing that question. Unfortunately, Danzo and the civilian council pulled a fast one the night after the attack. They created a law forbidding any Konoha-born ninja or Konoha clan to claim guardianship of Naruto. Technically, any Konoha civilian can adopt him, but Danzo made sure that no civilian would be willing to do so. It is one of the very few laws that I don't have the power to overrule. That old bastard probably wants to make sure that he is isolated enough for him to come and induct him into the Foundation. Cole spat. Indeed, Root has been a problem over the years. Unfortunately, I can't touch Danzo until I can prove that he ignored my order to disband that organization. I agree, Cole-san. Danzo doesn't see Naruto as a human being. He sees him as a weapon. I'm doing what I can to make Naruto-kun's life as bearable as possible, but I'm afraid it won't be enough. As tough as the boy is, he is still human. Cole went silent, thinking about what the old Kage just told him. Damn it! What do I do? That old bastard and his cronies have made it impossible for anyone born here to adopt Naruto. How the hell am I going to get around that? Cole then froze in mid-thought, and went back over what he just said to himself. After a moment, the Empire City native grinned. Lord Hokage, Cole spoke up. Sarutobi saw the grin on his face, and wondered what the man was up to. Yes? You said before that ninjas or clans native to Leaf couldn't adopt Naruto, right? Sarutobi was a bit confused as to why Cole was bringing this point back up, but nodded anyway. What does the law say about ninjas like me who aren't born here? Cole smirked. Sarutobi paused and began to think about what Cole just said. After a moment, the Kage's eyes went wide in realization before his lips formed a grin that practically said, I see what you did there. I think it can work, Cole-san. We'll need to move quickly though. If Danzo and the civilian council find out, they will quickly pass a law to close that loophole, Sarutobi said as he reached into his desk and pulled out a form. And clan creation form. Lord Hokage? Cole asked in slight confusion. In order for ninjas, regardless of where they are from, to adopt, they have to get the approval of the both councils, the elders, and the Hokage. While I would certainly approve of the adoption, and I'm sure that the Ninja Council would as well, Danzo and the Civilian Council would vote against it, leaving my 2 former teammates to decide Naruto's fate as your guardian. Should they rule against the adoption, Danzo and the Civilian Council will close up any remaining loopholes, which would effectively destroy any chance of Naruto ever getting adopted in this village. However, as Hokage, I have the power to approve the creation of a clan. Anyone you list here would be included in the clan. The only stipulation is that the clan must consist of at least 6 people, 2 of whom must be female. Do you have anyone in mind who would want to be in this new clan? Sarutobi asked. I'm pretty sure that Lord Jiraiya is more than willing to be a part of the clan. Lord Orochimaru and his apprentice Enko will also likely agree to join. The problem comes with finding another woman, Cole mused. Getting the other 3 to sign wouldn't take long since all 3 shinobi were in town. It was finding another woman who wasn't part of an established clan that was an issue. Sarutobi also went deep into thought. After a moment, his face formed a wide grin. I may know someone who is willing to join. It will take some convincing, but she did say that she owes Kushina and her family a life department. You may be able to use that to your advantage. She has chosen to use her hermit status and leave the village, but she still has to contact me once a year and come back to the village every 3 years. It just so happens that she arrived in the village this afternoon, and is supposed to be arriving any moment. As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. That would be her. Sarutobi cleared his throat before answering, enter. The door opened as 2 women walked in. One had blonde hair while the other had brunette hair. The brunette was carrying what looked to be a pet pig. I'm reporting in as you requested, sensei. The blonde woman informed. Sarutobi smiled. Ah, welcome back. Your timing couldn't have been better, Tsunade. Chapter 2, Academy Years. It took a bit of convincing by Cole and even Shizen, but Tsunade decided to give Konoha one more shot and accepted Cole's offer to join the new clan, the Shinsei clan. Cole and Enko chose to keep their last names, but had indicated that any future offspring they had would bear their last name, and the Shinsei name. Naruto did add the name, but kept it hidden for now. Until he became a ninja, the Civilian Council could cause problems for him should they find out that he was adopted through a loophole. The scrolls that Naruto received were actually sealing scrolls containing numerous things which included not only the Uzumaki and Namikaze family jutsus, but also the wills of both clans. The Namikaze will stipulated that Naruto had to become a chunin before he was allowed access to the Namikaze fortune and the family jutsus, but it did allow Naruto immediate access to the Namikaze compound, which was more than big enough to house all of the current members. When both ninja and civilian councils asked why the Namikaze compound was given to the Shinsei clan, Sarutobi told them that in Minato's will, he bequeathed the compound to the Toad Sannin. While true, the will also stated that a member of the Namikaze clan could claim the entire compound and the fortune if the person was either 16 or was a chunin. The Uzumaki will, on the other hand, allowed Naruto immediate access to Kushina's life savings, which was not as vast as some of the bigger clans, but was still more than any civilian had by a long shot. Jiraiya himself owned quite a fortune due to his Ika Paradise books, which were the most read books in the elemental countries, although it seemed that a lot of women despised the series, despite being perverted themselves. In just 3 years, the Shinsei clan had gained the attention of village's major clans. While most of the clans welcomed the Shinsei clan with open arms, many members of the Uchiha clan were not very happy about it, while the Civilian Council looked to be indifferent about the new clan. In order to keep Danzo and the Civilian Council from trying to destroy the clan simply just to make sure Naruto's life remained miserable, only a select few knew that Naruto was a part of the clan. This few included the current Shinsei members, Hokage, Kakashi, Hayashi, Itachi, and the original Ino Shikacho. For the past year, the Uchiha clan started to show signs of internal strife in the public eye. Granted, there always seemed to be disagreements within the clan by quite a few members, but most never really paid it any mind. That is, until the internal strife morphed into a civil Cold War. Most non-members assumed that the Cold War was due to difference of opinion in future leadership, and to a certain degree, that was the case. On one side was Fugaku Uchiha, the clan leader. On the outside, he showed respect to other clan leaders and the Hokage, but in reality, he believed that the Uchiha clan should be the rulers of Konoha and was in favor of a coup to overthrow the current government, and make the Uchiha clan the absolute authority. In Konoha, Itachi Uchiha, Fugaku's oldest son and village prodigy, lead the other half, now known as the Uchiwa clan, who were against the coup. They believed that carrying through with such an act would not only lose the respect of most, if not all of the ninja and civilians, but would also weaken Konoha to the point where a few of the other ninja nations would take advantage of the coup and invade the village. Jiraiya, knowing the requirements for graduation, was well aware that Naruto would not be able to obtain good enough chakra control in time to pull off a regular clone, so he taught him the Shadow Clone Jutsu to eliminate that problem. The Toad Sannin taught the boy about what the Shadow Clone could do, including accelerated learning, but forbid him from using it to learn any jutsu that wasn't cleared by Jiraiya or his other family members until he became a genin. The Toad Sannin didn't want to risk the boy hurting himself from learning too much too fast since the Shadow Clone Jutsu wasn't designed to be performed by a child, even if that child had insane chakra reserves. Tsunade and Shizen were appalled and downright pissed that Naruto was denied basic education by civilian schools, public and private alike. Granted, he wasn't completely deprived of knowledge since he had a knack for picking up things around him, but he still lacked a complete education. However, once they found out that Jiraiya taught him the Shadow Clone Jutsu, they saw an opportunity to get the boy caught up in basic studies. Thanks to the Shadow Clone, Naruto managed to learn 6 years' worth of basic education in just 6 months. Orochimaru felt that Naruto might very well have to alter his seal at some point, so the Snake Sannin got the boy started on basic sealing. During his studies, Naruto noticed that a few seal experts had experimented on other people. When he asked Orochimaru about it, the Sannin told him in a strict tone that he was to never use other people for experiments. Orochimaru told him that if he wanted to experiment on something, he should use his shadow clones whenever possible. Naruto asked why he was so adamant about it. Flashback. Naruto-kun, what you must understand is that while experimenting on other people may prevent injury to you personally, it will take you down a very dark road, a road that most people don't come back from. I, myself, was heading down that path at one point in my life, Orochimaru explained with an ashamed look on his face. It was obvious that he wasn't proud of his actions back then. What brought you back, Orochimaru-sensei? Naruto asked. I saw the future from a man during a mission that Sarutobi-sensei sent me on. In that future, I became an inhuman monster that took thousands of innocent lives, including the life of my own sensei. Orochimaru looked down in sadness. He had just started to experiment on felons, something most people won't have cared very much about, but they were human nevertheless. Once I saw that horrible future, I made a decision right then and there that it was not the path that I wanted to travel down. The first thing I did once I completed the mission was go to Sarutobi-sensei and tell him everything. While he was disappointed that I would try such a thing, he also told me that he was proud of me for owning up to my mistakes and reduced my punishment to a month of D-rank missions instead of imprisonment and expulsion from the Shinobi Corps. Sealing is one of the most powerful jutsu types in the world. Use it to help you become strong, but don't let it corrupt you or your loved ones could be the ones who pay the price. Naruto nodded, but he still had something he wanted to ask. I understand, Orochimaru-sensei, but I have to ask, why do you hate the Uchiha clan so much? Orochimaru had a look of surprise on his face. Jiraiya was right, the boy is perceptive. This is a good thing. He has every right to know why I despise a lot of the Uchiha clan members. Minato-kun, Kushina-chan, you would be proud. I don't hate all of them, Naruto-kun, but I will admit that I have absolutely little to no respect for a lot of their noblemen. Orochimaru nearly spat out the last word. As for why, it is because I've witnessed some of their members doing what I warned against you doing. You don't mean, Naruto whispered. Orochimaru nodded. Yes, they have experimented on others. What makes it so disturbing is that they didn't just experiment on inmates of the Konoha prison system. You mean our own shinobi? More than that. Orochimaru had to do everything he could for his voice not to crack. Oh, Kami, the civilians. Orochimaru only nodded. The Sannin didn't trust his voice at all. Does Aji-san know about this? Yes, he does. However, because of his position, he must tread carefully. Unless Jiraiya or myself obtain proof of wrongdoing, we can't touch them. End flashback. Naruto had noticed that Orochimaru had a hard time with the end of that conversation. After talking with the Snake Sannin, Naruto did some research and was horrified at what he found. Orochimaru had a little sister named Yukushi, who was a Konoha genin. What made it so terrible was that she had died during the Third Shinobi War under the command of Jonin Takeo Uchiha, the clan's most aggressive jonin at the time. It was no secret that Orochimaru was the master of the snake taijutsu style, and had taught her that same style. The higher-ups of the Uchiha clan were not happy that somebody was able to come up with a taijutsu to counter their Sharingan, and were even more upset that said style was passed down to someone else. What made Naruto suspicious was that genin were not supposed to be in a main assault force. She was the only genin in the Takeo Uchiha's whole battalion, and she was handpicked by Takeo himself. After she supposedly died, Takeo claimed to have destroyed her body, but some people were suspicious since the battalion brought back an unmarked box, a box large enough to fit a human body in. Orochimaru's sister wasn't the only unsolved case either. Some other people, ranging from shinobi to civilian children, had gone missing over the years. While most of these cases were in fact dead ends, nearly all of these cases had a suspicious undertone. The civilian council simply shrugged it off, saying that the Uchiha clan was head of the police force, and that it was their job to be the primary investigators of such crimes. But Naruto knew better. Why was it that every case had an Uchiha clansman report the person missing and not the person's loved ones? Also, why were the people in question reported missing in less than a 24-hour period? Naruto chose to keep this piece of information to himself, mainly because it was in the Hokage archives, a place he actually shouldn't even have access to. Granted, the old man would probably just scold at him and make him promise not to reveal this information to the public, but he wouldn't do anything more than that. However, there was another reason. Naruto knew that if the Uchiha clan were to get wind of him researching these cases, they may very well send an assassin after him. Enko got the boy started on battle strategies and tactics by having him play her and the other clan members in shogi, go, chess, and even risk. Enko noticed that while the boy definitely wasn't stupid, His common sense was still a little behind, so the snake apprentice got to work on that as well. Frankly, Anko was the only person willing to give Naruto the talk. Cole helped Naruto develop and control his electrical powers. He even taught Naruto a few of his own tricks that he used to help free Empire City about 11 years ago and defend his previous home, the hidden Maelstrom village. Cole told him that it was up to him to develop some of his own moves, but said that he would always give the boy advice when he needed it. Cole wasn't quite ready to reveal what had happened when he talked to Kessler for the last time, but just like he did in Yuzushiogakure, he put his knowledge of technology to good use. One of those uses was the construction of a power plant in Konoha. However, that was only the beginning. Kessler was literally the biggest information bank known to any civilization. Somehow, his future/alternate self had recorded every single piece of media that existed in his world. While the ninja world already had TV, Cole uploaded every single movie/TV show to several news stations that were built right after the power plant was. This led to several studios learning from these shows to produce new content in the same style as the originals, which were also aired regularly. During a training exercise with the three Sannin, Naruto took a hard hit to the head and was knocked unconscious. It was here that he officially met his tenant, the nine-tailed fox. Flashback. Naruto was in what seemed to be a large sewer system. The only difference was that it didn't smell at all and the water on the floor was exactly that, water, not sewage. He wandered down the corridor until he came to a giant cage. The boy also noticed that there was a piece of paper that kept the cage closed. It had the kanji for seal. Naruto went to go inspect the seal and even reached up to the seal until he heard a booming, but calm voice. Don't touch, Kit. There's a reason that seal is there. Naruto jumped back in surprise and saw a pair of red eyes look down at him. At first, the boy seemed a bit scared, but relaxed when he saw that the eyes held no malice, trickery, or any such action. Who are you and where am I? Naruto stuttered. The creature inside the cage sighed and stepped into the light. It was a giant nine-tailed fox with red fur. Naruto's eyes went wide, realizing that this action alone by the fox answered his two questions. I see that my presence doesn't require me to answer a few of your questions, the fox stated. Naruto nodded dumbly at the statement before pulling himself together, and then proceeded to glare at the fox. So you're the reason everyone hates me, Naruto said in a low, but cold voice. Do you have any idea what I went through in my life? It's because of you that my life has been complete garbage. Kyuubi's eyes widened at the boy's response. Granted, it expected the boy to not be happy with his life before being saved, but it didn't expect its container to be this bitter. Why did you attack our village? What the hell did we ever do to you? Tell me! Naruto screamed. His mask had finally come completely crashing down as the boy closed his eyes to prevent tears from pouring out. He didn't want to show weakness in front of a being that was considered the most powerful in the world of the living. Naruto was about to continue his rant, but stopped when he saw that instead of the large red fur that he saw just a moment ago, a beautiful red-haired woman was there in its place. She looked sad and on the verge of tears. Kid, I'm so sorry, the woman whispered. Naruto stood there, stunned. Where was the demon fox he saw a second ago? I am the nine-tailed fox, Kit. Kyuubi responded softly. This is my human form. Believe it or not, I prefer this form over my demon form. Naruto continued to stare at the beautiful-looking women for a little bit before coming out of his stupor. You still haven't answered my question. I see. So your father's worst fear did come to pass, that bastard Danzo really did spread all of those lies to the villagers. Kyuubi sighed sadly. She saw that Naruto at least calmed down enough to allow her to explain her side of the story, so she continued, Naruto-kun, your father may have been the one to seal me, but believe me, I hold nothing against him for doing so. To answer your question, the reason I attacked your village was because I wasn't given a choice in the matter. I was actually traveling across Fire Country, following up on information about a dimensional jutsu. I had heard that someone actually came to this dimension by said jutsu. I never did find out who that person was, but I digress. I was just 7 miles outside of Wave Country when I was ambushed by Konoha shinobi, but not just any Konoha shinobi, they were Uchiha shinobi. I asked what they wanted from me, thinking that my cover was still intact. The vixen looked down in shame. I couldn't have been more wrong. The leader looked at me with his Sharingan activated, telling me that they would finally take control of Konoha and that I was going to help them whether I wanted to or not. I lost complete control of my body after that. I believe you can fill in the rest. Naruto was completely shocked at what he heard. Not only that, but for some reason, he could tell that she wasn't lying to him at all. In fact, she looked downright ashamed for foolishly lowering her guard, thinking they didn't know who she was, and in effect, put herself in the position to be controlled and used as a weapon of mass destruction. Despite that, Naruto realized one important fact. The Kyuubi never had the intention of destroying Konoha, or any village for that matter. He then thought back to a moment ago when he screamed at her and instantly felt like he had just hit a puppy, or in this case, a kit. I'm sorry, Naruto said softly, his eyes still looking down. Kyuubi saw the look on this face and smiled softly. It's alright, Kit. Nobody else could have known that except your father. Her face then morphed into a sad expression. I just wish my carelessness didn't have to cost your father his life and you your happiness. There was a moment of silence, but it wasn't really uncomfortable. It was more like a moment of silence that was given to a respected person who had just passed away. After a moment, Naruto spoke. So, it was the Uchiha, Naruto said in a half-tired, but half-angry tone. Kyuubi looked at him with a somewhat confused look. Seeing the look on her face, Naruto sighed. Believe me, Kyuubi-chan, the fact that the Uchiha are behind yet another problem in our village no longer surprises me. Don't worry though, they aren't as strong as they used to be. Kyuubi giggled at being called Chan. Why not? What happened? The Uchiha clan heads wanted to overthrow our government and take over, but not all of its members liked the idea. The Uchiha clan, who are former Uchiha members, were very unhappy that their kin would even entertain this idea, and after hearing your side of it, I'm fairly certain that them controlling you planted the seeds for the current civil Cold War that has broken out. A Cold War? I see. Who's the leader of the two factions? Kyuubi asked. Itachi Uchiha, formerly Uchiha, leads the Uchiha clan, who are loyal to Konoha, and Fugaku leads the Uchiha, who are loyal to only their own clan. Naruto answered for her. The vixen nodded. We do have a bit more to talk about, Kit, but for now, go ahead and wake up. I sense that your teachers are worried about you. End flashback. After that, Naruto told the three Sannin what had transpired while he was out cold. To say they were surprised was an understatement. None of them, especially Orochimaru, were surprised nor happy that the Uchiha clan was behind yet another problem in their village. After talking it over, they all agreed to keep it in the family. Should word get out that Naruto knew what really happened, Fugaku could send assassins after the boy. Kyuubi began to contact Naruto through his mind. When Naruto told the vixen about the scroll he received from his mother through the sandame, she recognized the blood seal on the letter and told the boy to smear some of his blood on it. What appeared was a scroll containing his mother's personal taijutsu style. Kyuubi told him that she herself was familiar with the style and offered to help Naruto learn it. When asked why, she told him that learning such a great taijutsu style was not very common, and commented that regardless of what village you were in, the academy taijutsu simply wasn't that great. From that point on, Kyuubi began to teach him the maelstrom style. What surprised Naruto was that one of the style's main advantages was unpredictable movement, much like the snake style that Orochimaru and Anko use. Another was that the style took complete advantage of Naruto's bloodline limit. If Naruto was able to touch one of the person's chakra points, he could send a small electrical pulse through the body, allowing him to read the person's brain wave patterns. This allowed Naruto to see the person's every move for 20 seconds per touch. The style's only drawback was that it didn't have much power, but power wasn't really needed. It was the ultimate defensive style, and truth be told, most taijutsu specialists admitted that nearly anyone who goes up against a master of the maelstrom style could end up dead. At last, it was time for Naruto to be enrolled into the Konoha Ninja Academy. His family members told him not to reveal his power unless he had to. When Naruto complained about the rule, Jiraiya simply told him to think of it as part of his training. Flashback. Naruto, you are not to reveal most of your power unless absolutely necessary. Jiraiya instructed. Why, Ero-sennin? I can understand if I were around foreigners, but my own classmates. Naruto asked. Because deception is a ninja's best tool. Also, Sasuke Uchiha, Fugaku's youngest son, will be attending the academy this year as well, and unlike Itachi, he fully supports his father's ideals. I'm not sure if Sasuke has been told about you and Kyuubi, but I'd rather not take chances. If nothing else, reveal as little as possible when Sasuke is present. End flashback. The first year was the worst for Naruto. His instructors purposely ignored any questions that he had and sabotaged his tests, leaving him in last place despite his efforts. Unfortunately, most of the students picked up on this and started calling him Dobe, dead last, loser, and other derogatory names. Hinata, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were the only students who didn't join in on the name calling and actually felt sorry for the boy. However, things did start to look up in his second year. Iruka was assigned to teach at the academy that year and had taken a liking to Naruto. From that point on, the sabotage tests took a dramatic drop. Naruto still had to really work at some of the other tests given out by the other instructors just to barely pass. But every time Naruto took any of Iruka's tests, he earned himself a perfect score while most others seemed to struggle. This didn't go unnoticed by Iruka, and that's when the scarred Chunin began to suspect that the boy's status as a Jinchuriki was being used against him by the other instructors. In year 3, Iruka had finally become convinced that Naruto was being screwed over by his fellow Chunin instructors and immediately told his family and the Hokage. While there wasn't enough proof to send them to Ibiki, Enko, and Orinoichi, it was enough to allow Iruka to administer all of Naruto's classwork and tests personally. That was when Naruto went from near dead last to near the top of the class. Most of Naruto's classmates were unaware of this due to two factors. 1. He didn't take his tests with his classmates when it was an instructor other than Iruka giving it, and 2. His somewhat hyper personality made most assume that he was clueless. Naruto was a bit hyper, yes, but very few people knew the truth. Naruto's intelligence was second only to the Nara family. Orochimaru suggested that when the boy's powers started to manifest the night the Shinsei clan was born, his nervous system had made dramatic improvements. Because of his new powers, information not only traveled much faster to the brain than before, but much more efficiently. In Naruto's last year at the academy, his friends caught wind of his bloodline. Shikamaru and Choji always suspected that the boy was hiding his true abilities and decided to do some research. Both were in the library when they finally figured it out. Choji was looking through a book titled Villages of the Past when he came across Yuzukage. Shikamaru remembered his father Shikaku telling him stories of the village. The book told that the Yuzukage had a powerful bloodline limit that allowed the leader to have complete control of electricity without having to use chakra, but the leader's name was never touched up on. Shikamaru had wondered why the name of the Yuzukage was never mentioned in the book when he noticed that the book was written by a professor from Konoha University. Suspecting a cover-up of sorts, the young Nara genius and the large Akimichi went to their fathers and asked why the name of the Yuzukage seemed to be kept a secret. It was luck that the Sandame was meeting with the two Jonins that night. Deciding to take a chance, the Sandame told the boys that Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's birth mother, was the Yuzukage. Shikamaru and Choji were stunned at first, but recovered and promised not to reveal the secret to anyone who didn't know, with Shikamaru adding that it would be too troublesome if the wrong people found out. Kiba had found out in a similar way. When the dog boy asked if his mother knew Naruto's parents, Tsum told Kiba that she knew Kushina Uzumaki personally and told him all about her. After hearing his mother's story, Kiba went to the same library, and strangely enough, found the same book that Shikamaru and Choji had found a month earlier. Combined with some other information he found in the Inuzuka archives, Kiba put 2 and 2 together. He confronted Naruto with the information, who finally gave in and told him that he was correct. That left Hinata. Over the last 3.5 years, Naruto had been helping Hinata gain confidence in herself. At first, Hinata thought that she might have been in love with Naruto, but had realized that this was not the case. She did love him of course, but it was the kind of love one had for a sibling. She looked up to him so much that she started calling Naruto Big Brother. Naruto, feeling bad that she was the only person in his circle of friends that didn't know about his bloodline limit, decided that he could trust her with the secret. While she was a bit stunned upon hearing that, she did feel happy for him. Hinata was no longer the stuttering mess she was before entering the academy. She was still somewhat shy, but she never backed down when someone challenged her and was quite assertive. Sasuke learned this lesson the hard way by challenging her to a taijutsu fight after finding out that she was in the running for Rookie of the Year. She beat him soundly, much to the surprise of everyone except Naruto, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba, who secretly had a crush on the Hyuga heir. Ami and her 2 friends Todis, who were members of Sasuke's fan club, weren't too happy about the Uchiha's defeat and tried to bully the Hyuga, only to find themselves on the ground with the chakra points in their arms and legs closed up. At that point, Hinata was officially recognized as a top contender for Rodi, day of the genin exam. Naruto-kun, time to get up. Today's your genin exam, came a female's voice. Naruto let out a yawn while rubbing his eyes. After he got the sleep out of his eyes, he looked up to see Shizen giving him a warm smile. Okay Nei-chan, I'm up. Naruto mumbled, although he still gave her a smile of his own. He truly loved having a surrogate older sister. It beats the hell out of waking up alone in his old apartment, that's for sure. He got out of bed and went towards the bathroom to get himself cleaned up. After about 20 minutes, he came out of the bathroom dressed in and ready to go. He wore a short-sleeved teal Under Armour shirt, a pair of black and teal camo pants and a pair of open shinobi boots that stopped midway up his legs. He wore a pair of fingerless gloves that covered up to a few inches below his elbows. After emerging from the bathroom, he smelled something good coming from the kitchen. Whatever you're cooking smells good, Kaa-chan. Naruto half shouted. Thank you, Nara-chan. Now come and eat up. You'll need the energy for your exam. Tsunade called back in happy tone, obviously flattered by Naruto's compliment. In a minute, Kaa-san? Naruto blushed slightly with embarrassment at the nickname she had given him when he was younger. Tsunade was hurt by the loss of her little brother Nawaki, but still decided to stay in the village until the attack of Kyuubi. After being told by Danzo that all members of the Namake's family had died, the slug Sannin couldn't take it anymore. In her own eyes, she believed that she failed her best friend Kushina when little Naruto was reported to have died because of the sealing. She left Konoha shortly after, and had been in a depression with Shizen the only person she would allow into her personal life. However, when she came back nearly 4 years ago to check in with Sarutobi as she was required to, she was shocked to learn that Naruto was still alive. She was also highly pissed when she found out how the boy had been treated by the villagers, Danzo, and the civilian council. When Cole and her old teammate Orochimaru came to her with the offer to form a new clan, she was hesitant at first, but immediately agreed when they informed her that it was the only way to give Naruto a family since the Civ Council made a law forbidding any Konoha-born ninjas to adopt him. After the clan was created, Tsunade was made clan head, Jiraiya and Orochimaru refused, believing that Tsunade was the most qualified to lead. Naruto walked into the kitchen and saw Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Cole sitting at the table. Tsunade herself was putting a good amount of food on the table, which included omelets, bacon, sausage, biscuits, and different kinds of fruit. Naruto gave a quick good morning to his uncles/guardians and sat down. Okay, everyone, dig in, Tsunade said. Everyone muttered itadakimasu before platting their food and eating. It was no secret that Tsunade was the best medic nin in the village. What surprised people was that she was also an experienced and excellent cook. Orochimaru was also considered to be a great cook in Japanese-style cooking while Cole himself was proficient in Western-style cooking. Naruto lacks the experience of the other three, but knew more cooking styles which included Italian, Mexican, and even some Indian cuisine. Jiraiya wasn't that good at cooking, but was great at making different drinks, alcoholic or otherwise. Shizen had the best baking skills of the family. She had to hide anything chocolate-related lest it got kidnapped by Naruto, who is a chocolate freak. After Naruto finished eating, he cleaned his plate off in the sink and waved goodbye as he took off towards the academy. You do know that Naruto-kun is going to destroy that exam, right? Shizen mentioned. Tsunade responded, how can he not? He's stronger than any genin at his current level. She looked over to her two old teammates, and noticed that they were deep in thought. Orochi, pervert, something wrong? She asked with a hint of concern. Even Shizen and Cole looked over and noticed their worried looks. Yeah, what's the deal? You guys look like one of those Saints fans that saw Mike Ditka trade away his team's entire draft for that pothead of a running back. Cole added. Did the old man say who was giving the exam? Jiraiya asked. Tsunade and Cole shook their heads no. Shizen, however, had a different answer. I heard that Mizuki, the academy's headmaster, will be overseeing the entire exam personally with Iruka as his assistant. Jiraiya and Orochimaru froze. It was obvious to everyone that the two Sannin didn't like what they just heard. Tsunade Orochimaru spoke up. Jiraiya and I have been tailing the headmaster for a half a year now, and we have reason to believe that he might be secretly employed by someone with a lot of money. I don't understand. Who and why would someone other than Hokage-sama want to pay a Chunin instructor? Shizen asked. We don't know exactly who has hired him, but one thing is obvious, Jiraiya said, turning to Orochimaru. Whatever it is that they have asked him to do, they don't want it traced back to them. Orochimaru finished. Shit. Everyone looked over at Cole, who had a look of disgust on his face. If that's the case, then I'm sure that whatever Mizuki has planned has something to do with at least one of the brats. The human lightning rod mused. Also, I've read up on Mizuki's past. His clan was on the verge of getting a seat in both the civilian and the shinobi council, a village first. However, most of his clan was wiped out during the Kyuubi attack. Rumor has it that he was quite bitter about the disbanding of his clan since he didn't have enough members left. At that bit of news, everyone paled as they all had one person on their mind. Naruto, Ninja Academy. Naruto had arrived quite early and saw that the only students that arrived before him were Hinata, Choji, and Shikamaru, who was taking a nap. Hinata gave him a friendly wave and a hello Naruto-ne-san while Choji stopped eating to greet the blonde with a light slap on the back. Shikamaru woke up and gave Naruto a lazy wave before going back to his slumber. Choji just shrugged and went back to eating his bag of chips while Naruto and Hinata both sweat-dropped at the lazy Nara. He gets here earlier than most of us, yet he is the laziest in the class. Go figure. Don't blame him, Kit. Blame the family line. Nara men are traditionally lazy, but incredibly smart for whatever reason. Kyuubi spoke up. I didn't wake you, did I, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto mentally asked. Don't worry about it, Kit. I want to see how you do today anyway. Kyuubi waved her hand. Next to arrive was Kiba. Naruto gives the dog boy a pound and a dab and lightly scratches behind Akamaru's ears. Hinata gives Kiba a warm smile and waves to him, causing the Inuzuka to slightly blush, which didn't go unnoticed by Naruto. Kiba just talked to her, man. She actually does like you and is waiting for you to make the first move. Inuzuka men may be loyal, but they can be so damn clueless sometimes. Kyuubi sighed. Shino walked in without saying much, but when he saw Naruto, he gave him a respectable nod which Naruto returned. While Naruto wasn't as close to Shino as he was with his other friends, the two still had respect for one another, mainly since Naruto wasn't put off by him being a tenant for thousands of bugs. In fact, Naruto commented that he found his bugs interesting and even asked if it was alright to have a communicator bug placed on him in case the blonde needed to talk with him. Next to enter were Kintsuchi and her sister Taiyatsuchi. Naruto wasn't as close to them as he was with some of his other friends, but they were both cool in his book. For one thing, they were the only girls other than Hinata who weren't part of Sasuke's fan club. Ironically, Sasuke seemed interested in both girls, but Kin outright ignored him and Taiya simply shot him down with her sharp tongue and colorful vocabulary, something that always cracked the blonde and his friends up. Other students started to file into the classroom, including members of the Sasuke Uchiha fan club. Naruto noticed one of the members and mentally scowled. Ami. While most of the students were ignorant of Naruto's tenet, he suspected that Ami may actually know about the fox since she was one of the few to actually call him a demon. While the majority of the class didn't think very highly of Naruto, mainly due to the blonde hiding his true power, they would sometimes give Ami a questioning look as if to ask why do you call him that. She would only respond by saying that she couldn't tell them, but had a good reason for calling the boy such a horrible put-down. However, that wasn't the main reason he despised her so much. Ami was a bully, and her constant target was Sakura, one of the girls he has a crush on. It saddened him that she had a crush on. He heard some of the girls scream and palmed his face. Speak of the devil. I don't think Yami herself is going to react very well to your insult, Kit. Kyuubi half-joked. Sasuke, the heir to the Uchiha clan, had walked into the classroom to the delight of his fangirls and to the displeasure of everyone else. Even Hinata, who was known to be a sweetheart, had a look of annoyance at his arrival. He simply gave a chin as he walked past them. He was about to sit down when he noticed Naruto. He gave the blonde an arrogant smirk. "Why'd you bother showing up, loser? You're a lock to fail this exam. At least if you hadn't come, nobody would have a chance to laugh at you," Sasuke mocked. Naruto clenched his fist at the insult, and was about to say something, when he felt someone lightly grab his shoulder. It was Shikamaru. "Calm down, Naruto. He's doing that on purpose and you know it," the Nara whispered, only loud enough for the blonde to hear, although Kiba and Akamaru also picked up on it due to their enhanced senses, as well as Hinata, due to her being able to read lips, and slightly nodded in agreement. They were getting quite tired of Sasuke taking verbal pot shots at the Jinchuriki and getting away with it. "Listen to your Nara friend, Kit. The little shit isn't worth it yet," Kyuubi said. "Got nothing to say, dope?" Sasuke said, trying to goad him once more. Naruto simply glared at him before sitting down in his seat. Sasuke, thinking he had won, smirked and sat down in his own seat. His fangirls swooned. "Sasuke-kun is so cool." "Yeah, Sasuke-kun, put that loser in his place. You're the best, Sasuke-kun. Dear Kami, please make it stop." Kyuubi groaned/begged. "You took the words right out of my mouth," Naruto responded. Their praises were cut short when a loud noise came from the doorway. Everyone looked to see two girls come flying through the doorway. "Ha! I win, billboard brow. Looks like I get to sit next to Sasuke-kun. Like hell you won, pig. Sasuke-kun is mine. Hey Sakura-chan, Ino-chan." Naruto attempted to greet them, only for them to spin around and glare at him like he had insulted them somehow. "What the hell do you want, loser?" Both girls shouted at him. "I just wanted to say hi, that's all." Naruto responded with a smile, but his friends knew that it was a fake smile. Inwardly, Naruto was hurt by their response. "Well, don't. Sasuke-kun might think I'm a loser if I actually talk to one." Sakura sneered as she walked to the seat on the left of where the Uchiha heir was sitting. This time his mask dropped, revealing a look of hurt in his eyes. Naruto-kun, Kyuubi thought sadly. Even Ino, who was about to say something rude of her own, saw the look on his face and for some reason, felt a small pang of guilt. She chose not to say anything rude to him and sit in the seat to Sasuke's right. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she felt bad for yelling at the blonde for no reason other than him just trying to be friendly. Iruka and Mizuki both entered the room to find the students chatting up a storm. Iruka cleared his throat to get their attention. The students continued talking. "Okay class, quiet down." Iruka spoke up. They still hadn't noticed the Chunin instructor. Mizuki had a somewhat bored look on his face, but then noticed the tick marks that were starting to show up on Iruka's head. "Oh, here it comes," the headmaster thought as he calmly reached into one of his vest pockets, pulled out a pair of earplugs, and inserted them into each ear. Out of all of the students, only Naruto and his friends actually noticed Iruka doing some hand signs and did the same thing Mizuki did and put on pairs of earplugs of their own. Naruto mentally began counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. "Sit down and shut up, you brats!" shouted a big-head Iruka. Everyone in the class instantly stopped talking to see a very annoyed scarred Chunin standing at the front of the class. "I like that jutsu," Kyuubi commented with a grin. "You would," Naruto thought dryly. "Thank you," Iruka calmly said and continued. "As you all know, your genin exam is today. I will be your junior examiner and Headmaster Mizuki here will be your senior examiner. Your test is made up of 2 parts, a written test and a jutsu test. The written test is not mandatory to pass since the purpose of that test is to help determine where you are ranked among the graduating class, which is one of the factors in team placement. You must, however, pass the jutsu test in order to qualify as a genin of Konoha." As Iruka finished, Mizuki stepped forward. "As Iruka-san mentioned, I will be your senior examiner today. We will be conducting the written test first. Each of the exam papers already have your name on them, so when I call your name, come and receive your test. All of your answers must be in pen. Iruka will be watching to make sure that your eyes aren't tempted to wonder. Should you be caught wondering, you will fail this part of the genin exam and will automatically be out of the running for Rookie of the Year. You may begin when you return to your seat with your paper." With that, the lavender-haired Chunin began calling the students up one by one to receive their test paper. Naruto was finally called up to receive his test, but halfway back to his seat, he noticed something odd. While some of the questions were normal questions that genins were expected to know, a good amount of the questions on his paper were questions he recognized as ones found on the Chunin exam. A couple of the questions were even Jonin level. Naruto was about to speak up, but was cut off by Mizuki. "There will be no talking or questions during this exam." Naruto frowned a bit, but tried again to talk. "But Mizuki-sensei, my tea, I said no talking, Uzumaki," Mizuki said in a raised voice. "If you had any questions you should have asked before I began calling your names. One more word and you will fail this part of the exam. Now go sit down." Naruto didn't say anything, but his facial expression showed that he was not happy about being blown off without even hearing what he had to say. While some people, including Sasuke and his fangirls, snickered, funny how they didn't get caught, Hinata, Choji, and Kiba frowned at Mizuki. Even Iruka didn't look pleased about Mizuki's attitude towards one of his favorite students. "What's your problem, Mizuki? You could have at least let him ask his question." Shino remained quiet, but his bugs were telling him that Mizuki's attitude towards the blonde ran deeper than it should. Inside Naruto, Kyuubi narrowed her eyes. I smell bullshit and Eight Tails isn't anywhere in sight. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes in suspicion. Mizuki-sensei made no bones about scolding Naruto, but ignored Sasuke and his fangirls when they could clearly be heard snickering. Something's going on and I get the feeling that it's going to be a pain in the ass. He then caught a glimpse of Naruto's test paper and paled. The hell? More than half of those questions are Chunin-level questions. Wait, I even see 1 or 2 Jonin-level questions. What the hell is going on? He looked at some other test papers randomly, careful not to get caught by a watching Irika. Shikamaru frowned. Nobody else has that kind of test. Why does only Naruto have questions that hard? He then saw Sasuke's test and had to keep himself from growling in anger. You've got to be kidding me. His test already has the answers filled out for him. He then caught Mizuki looking exclusively at Sasuke with a knowing wink. Sasuke looked back at him with a ghost of a grin. The lavender-haired instructor then looked over towards Naruto and grinned evilly, which Naruto didn't seem to notice. That troublesome bastard. He's giving Sasuke a pass while screwing Naruto over. Naruto himself was starting to suspect that Mizuki had something against him. He hasn't called me a demon or anything of that nature, but he has never really been that nice to me, either. He looked down at his test paper. Something stinks. I mean, yeah, I know the answers to these questions, but that still doesn't. Naruto froze for a minute and mentally went back to what he has just thought about. A moment later, a grin slowly formed on his face. Maybe it's time I showed people that I'm not the dumbass loser they think I am and I know just how to prove it. His eyes then gave off a barely noticeable glow as he began writing in the answers. He then glanced over ever so slightly to see Sasuke's paper. While a part of him was angry that the Uchiha was getting a free pass, the other part, which went out, was wearing a shit-eating grin. It's going to be fun watching the reactions of all of his doubters. Shikamaru glanced at Naruto and was surprised to see the blonde give off a devious grin. His eyes widened slightly when he saw Naruto's eyes glow ever so slightly before the lazy Nara smirked. So he's using that jutsu. Watching the aftermath is going to be even more entertaining than watching clouds. After 45 minutes had passed, Mizuki stood up and announced, "Alright class, pens down. This portion of the genin exam is finished. There will be a break before the next part of the exam. Use it however you wish." Dismissed. The students got up and headed off in random directions ranging from the throwing range to the cafeteria. As the last student left, Irika walked up to Mizuki. "What was that all about?" Irika inquired with a slight stern look. "What was what about?" Mizuki feigned ignorance. "You reprimanding Naruto like that? There was no harm in him asking a question." Irika stated. "That isn't the point, Irika." The other students needed to concentrate. "He should have asked while he was still at my desk. I know that you care about him on a personal level, but he needs to learn how to take care of himself," Mizuki said and walked out of the room with the test papers under his arm. Needs to learn how to take care of himself? He's been doing that for more than half of his life. I dare say he's better prepared to deal with the real world than over half of the shinobi in our village, let alone all of these students. Irika narrowed his eyes, unwilling to accept the senior examiner's explanation. Ninja Academy headmaster's office. Mizuki was in his office, grading the written exams that the students just finished. That was almost too easy, he said to himself. He managed to not only pass the Uchiha heir, but also fail the demon brat by giving him a much harder written exam instead. What made his plan so seemingly foolproof was that the Sandaime only requested the scores, not the exam papers themselves. Granted, he had to archive them, but if someone came looking, he could always claim that it must have gotten lost in his stack of paperwork, something that most clan/village leaders can understand since they have to put up with that never-ending battle on a daily basis. Mizuki scowled a little. Oh, how he hated paperwork. When he came to Sasuke's test paper, he simply put it in a file marked Sasuke Uchiha, and filed it away in a metal cabinet next to his desk. My employer will be pleased when he learns that my mission was successful, he inwardly chuckled in a dark tone. He kept grading papers until he finally got to Naruto's paper. Now let's see how badly the demon fared. His thought process came to a screeching halt when he saw the blonde's test paper. I am possible! He nearly yelled. Mizuki looked at the paper, absolutely stunned. Every single question had an answer to it, but that wasn't what shocked the headmaster. Naruto had answered almost every single question correctly. Damn it! Mizuki mentally screamed. I can't just put this in his folder. Mizuki started looking around for an idea. His eyes landed on a nearly blank genin test paper with only one answered question and the name Akito Homoki written on it. Akito-san's paper will do. Besides, that brat really isn't cut out to be a ninja anyway with his total lack of courage. He can't even do a henge or a substitution jutsu, so he will likely fail the genin exam, anyway. The best part is that his parents aren't even shinobi, and don't expect him to pass. Nobody is going to even consider looking at his records and notice that his test paper is missing. The Chunin grinned darkly and did a few hand seals. The ink on the paper came alive and pulled itself. After a few seconds, the pool of ink spread back out and formed the words Naruto Uzumaki at the top right corner of the paper. He then crumpled up Naruto's real test paper and tossed it in the garbage. Mizuki then went back to grading the rest of the papers. As he finished grading the last paper, he looked up at the clock. It's almost time for the second part of the exam. He got up and walked out the door. He never noticed that someone else was in the room with him, hiding in the shadows. All right, class, Irika spoke. This will be the final part of your exam. When we call your name, you are to go to the next room where Mizuki-san and myself will ask you to perform 3 jutsus: henge, substitution, and the clone jutsu. Keep in mind that you must pass this part of the exam in order to be accepted into the Konoha Ninja Corp. Now, Shino Abirame, you're up. One by one, the students went in to take their genin exam and each had come out with a headband, signaling that they had become genin. Naruto's friends passed with no problems whatsoever. Sasuke himself also passed with little trouble. Surprisingly enough, all of Sasuke's fangirls passed even though the majority barely passed since some of them didn't perform the jutsus perfectly. Ino and Sakura were the only 2 out of the fangirls that performed the jutsus flawlessly. Irika popped his head into the class filled with waiting students and announced the next person, Naruto Uzumaki, you're up. Naruto nodded and began to make his way to the next room as his friends all wished him luck. He was almost to the front of the room when Sasuke stopped him. I'm going to enjoy watching you fail. Sasuke whispered so that only Naruto could hear. Naruto ignored the Uchiha and continued towards the next room for his test. But inside Naruto, Kyuubi wasn't happy. Just one more reason why I hate that fucking clan. The demon vixen frowned. I'm not too wild about them either. No wonder half of them split off from the main clan and are now called the Uchiha clan. They couldn't stand those jackasses either. At least the Uchiha clan actually liked me. Naruto agreed with his resident demon vixen. As Naruto entered the next room, he saw Irika, who gave him a smile, and Mizuki, who seemed to have a look of indifference, but the blonde knew better. Mizuki was trying to hide his emotions, and based on the way Mizuki was acting towards the Jinchuriki today, the boy suspected that Mizuki was like the civilians in the village when it came to him. Naruto took note of the table to their right, which had a few headbands still sitting there. Alright, Naruto, Irika began, getting the boy's attention. For the first jutsu, I want you to perform a henge. You may henge into anything that you like, so long as we know what we are looking at. In order for the henge to be satisfactory, it must be at least 88% accurate. Should there be any missed detail, you will be deducted a 2% penalty for small mistakes, such as jewelry placement, hair color, etc., and a 5% penalty for bigger mistakes such as height and body shape. You may start when ready. Naruto nodded and thought for a moment. His eyes lit up and reached into one of his pants pockets, pulling out what looked to be a standard storage scroll. He knows how to seal things, both Chunin thought. Naruto opened the scroll and began to pump some chakra into it. Seconds later, a magazine poofed into existence. Both instructors gave the blonde a questioning look, wondering what he was up to. Naruto tossed them the magazine. Irika raised an eyebrow at the name of the magazine. Star Wars, New Essential Guide to Characters? Turn to page 157. Naruto instructed. Once he saw that Irika had found the correct page, Naruto put his hands into the ram seal and called out, henge. A puff of smoke engulfed the blonde for a few seconds. When it cleared, standing there was a figure dressed in all black with a cape and some weird-looking panel with buttons on its chest. The figure also seemed to have a strange-looking helmet that was also black with a glossy finish. In its right hand was a strange metal cylinder. How's this, Irika-sensei? The figure asked in a deep, robotic monotone voice. Irika simply gawked while Mizuki inwardly scowled. The demon brat was getting ever so close to graduating. If the boy became a genin, he would be out of his reach. You just couldn't resist, could you? Naruto heard Kyuubi sigh in his mind. Hey, be glad I didn't transform into Jabba the Hutt. Naruto mentally responded. Don't even joke like that, kid. Kyuubi slightly paled. She may like the Star Wars series, but the one thing that she hated was Jabba the Hutt himself. It was bad enough that he was gross looking. He was a womanizer to boot. Excellent job, Naruto. Based on the picture in this magazine you gave me, your henge is 100% accurate. Hinata was the only other student with a perfect henge. Strangely enough, she did the same thing you did and transformed into a person from a magazine. Irika said. Who did she henge into? Naruto asked out of curiosity. Some guy named The Rock. Was Irika's reply, causing Naruto to mentally burst out laughing. Can you blame her, kid? He is rather yummy looking, Kyuubi commented with a slightly lecherous grin on her face. Naruto mentally sweat dropped. Kyuubi-chan, you're a pervert, you know that, right? Naruto deadpanned. So? At least I'm woman enough to admit it. Unlike some of those other little girls in your class. Lazily shot back. Naruto mentally sighed and shook his head. Deciding not to get too far into such a debate, he refocused on the exam. What's next, sensei? Next up is substitution. I want you to swap places with anything in this room. You either do it or you don't, simple as that. You may start when you are ready, Irika instructed. Naruto again went into thought as he scanned the room. Upon spotting a sink in the corner, his face formed a mischievous grin. Irika had a slightly worried look on his face. Oh. He only gets that look when he's about to pull a prank on someone. Kyuubi also grinned, as she read the blonde's mind. Granted, the prank was simple, but it would get the point across. Naruto took out yet another scroll and unsealed an uninflated balloon. He then walked over to the sink and filled it up with water. He then walked back in front of the two Chunin instructors. Okay, I'm ready, Naruto announced, and then tossed the water balloon straight up in the air. Before the two Chunin could even ask, Naruto began doing hand seals and was engulfed in a small smoke screen. Iruka was about to say something when he heard a familiar voice next to him. So this is what it's like to be a Chunin instructor. Iruka turned towards the sound of the voice and was shocked to see Naruto leaning back in Mizuki's chair with his feet on the table. Naruto! What are you doing? Iruka started to say, but was cut off when Naruto held up a hand, then pointed towards the spot where he was a second ago. Iruka's jaw dropped. Standing in the spot that the blonde had previously occupied was Mizuki, who looked confused as all get out. Iruka was about to say something else when Naruto held up his hand again. I'm not done yet, sensei. Keep watching. Naruto grinned mischievously. Iruka did indeed keep watching while Mizuki was still slightly annoyed at being used as a substitution. He was about to ask why they kept staring at him until, splash, the water balloon that Naruto had tossed into the air earlier finally came down on Mizuki's head. Naruto fell out of the chair he was sitting in and burst out laughing. Iruka gave Naruto a slightly stern look, but if anyone were to look closely enough, they would notice the ghost of a smile on the scarred Chunin's lips as Iruka was doing his best not crack up himself. Unbelievable, it should be almost impossible for an academy student to actually swap with another person, and to top it all off, he thought far enough ahead to actually do something to the person he swapped with. Naruto, you just might become the first student to go from dead last to Rookie of the Year candidate. Good one, Kit. I have to admit that was well thought out. Simple, but well thought out. Had this been a real ninja battle, that fool would be dead. Kyuubi praised. Iruka then noticed that Mizuki was about ready to blow his top and moved to calm him down. Calm down, Mizuki. Granted, it was a bit immature, but it also showed that Naruto understands the concept of not only getting out of harm's way, but also to put your enemies into it as well. Quite frankly, there aren't that many academy students who think that far ahead using the substitution jutsu, let alone swap with an actual person. Fine, I'll let it go since you do make a good point. Mizuki slightly growled. As much as he hated to admit it, he couldn't fail Naruto for being innovative. Damn it, so far, he's done everything right. I may have to resort to killing the demon brat before team placement if he ends up passing the clone test. Mizuki quickly calmed himself down. He not only didn't want the brat to know what was going on, but to a much lesser degree, Iruka as well. He knew that Iruka actually liked the boy and would more than likely report anything suspicious to the Hokage. Now then, let's move on to your final test, Uzumaki-san. Mizuki continued. For this last test, you are to make at least 2 clones using the clone jutsu. You may begin when ready and no shenanigans this time, please. Naruto nodded. No problem, Mizuki-sensei. I just wanted to get one last prank in before I become genin. I sure as hell won't have time to do them with my duties as a ninja. Iruka was a bit worried. He never was able to learn how to do this jutsu, not with his chakra reserves. I hope he was able to improve his control enough to perform it. The look of worry turned into confusion as he saw Naruto make a hand seal that he knew wasn't the clone jutsu. His confusion then turned to disbelief when he heard Naruto shout, "Shadow Clone Jutsu!" Standing behind Naruto were 4 carbon copies of the blonde, who all said hi. For an added effect, one of the clones came over and tapped Iruka on the shoulder. Does this work? The clone asked. Iruka's jaw dropped completely on his desk. He actually knows the Shadow Clone Jutsu? How did he learn that? The only people who can do that jutsu without many issues are Hokage-sama, Kakashi, and Jiraiya-sama. Iruka continued to stare for a moment more before his face morphed into a grin. Of course, Naruto. That was more than satisfactory. Go ahead and take a headband from the table over there. Mizuki was absolutely livid. No! The brat was able to actually create shadow clones. When the hell did he learn to use that? What do I do now? Mizuki thought. After a moment, a very evil thought crossed his mind. He quickly hid his predatory grin and put on a serious face. Hold it. Mizuki stopped the boy before he could touch one of the headbands on the desk. I'm afraid that I can't award you the title of genin. The room went deathly silent. Naruto's face gave way to several emotions ranging from shock to confusion, and finally anger. He couldn't put into words how pissed he was, so Kyuubi did it for him. What? The demon vixen hissed inside his head. Iruka was also shocked, but recovered fast enough to respond before Naruto could voice some choice words. What are you talking about, Mizuki? He performed the clone jutsu just like we asked him to. Iruka said with a frown on his face. No, he didn't, Iruka. He did a shadow clone jutsu. The test requires him to do a standard clone jutsu. Mizuki responded. Iruka just stared at the headmaster like he had grown a second head. Since when did it matter what kind of clone was created? I've never heard of such a rule before. That's bullshit. What kind of fucking shit is this bastard trying to pull? Kyuubi screamed. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw Mizuki flashed a quick and extremely small smirk that he knew all too well, but decided not to act on it at this time. Iruka didn't like the ruling, but still made an attempt to get Naruto promoted like he should. Well then, why don't we just allow him to perform the correct clone jutsu then? Iruka suggested, only for Mizuki to respond somewhat harshly. No! He didn't do it correctly, and that's my final decision. Naruto tightened his fists, nearly drawing blood. Iruka was quite unhappy about the whole situation, but was powerless to do anything about it. He turned to the blonde with sad look. I'm sorry, Naruto. Since he's the headmaster, he has the final say. His mind, however, was saying something else. Although I sure as hell think that this is bullshit, he thought, unaware that he had the same thoughts as a certain nine-tailed vixen demoness. It's okay, Iruka-sensei. I'll just have to try again next year. Naruto barely said above a whisper. He turned and slowly made his way to the door. Iruka had a worried and sad look on his face. Naruto. Kyuubi said nothing, but it was obvious that the vixen was absolutely pissed. Mizuki held a neutral expression, but inside he was laughing like a maniac. He had finally succeeded in failing the demon. Now that the demon is out of the way, I can concentrate on the other task my employer charged me with. Still, stealing the forbidden scroll won't be a walk in the park. I need to be fast enough to outrun the ANBU long enough for me to then it struck him. Wait, the demon brat always was able to outrun the ANBU. In fact, the only person to ever catch him was Iruka. The demon may still be of some use to me. Naruto sat on his swing outside, looking on in sadness as he saw his fellow classmates get hugs and congratulations from friends and loved ones. A large part of him was not only angry, but suspicious as well. Jiraiya taught him the shadow clone jutsu, with the Sandame's permission, for several purposes, including the genin exam. Coupled with the fact that Mizuki tried too hard to hide his emotions towards the boy, and it was obvious that something was wrong. It baffled him until after failing the exam, that ghost of a smirk on Mizuki's face finally clicked. So he really is just like the villagers. So you noticed it too, eh? Came Kyuubi's voice. Naruto gave her a mental nod. If it wasn't obvious enough from that bullshit he pulled back in the test room, it's pretty obvious now that Mizuki intended to fail you one way or another. One comment from Sasuke was what got the blonde thinking that something wasn't stirring the Kool-Aid. Flashback. So, Dobe, how does it feel to be the only student in academy history dumb enough to make the wrong kind of clone during the genin exam? End flashback. At first, the statement nearly caused the blonde to try and strangle the pompous Uchiha, but logic made the 11th hour save and had forced him to simply push past Sasuke without saying a word. None of his fangirls knew how I failed, which is normal since test information is considered classified. So how the hell does the team know how I failed the test? There were only two people who knew, Iruka and Mizuki. He immediately ruled Iruka out for 3 reasons. 1. The scarred Chunin always helped him with his studies and always stuck up for him out in public. 2. He was very much against Mizuki's decision at the genin exam. And 3. The Chunin had left right after Naruto's test due to a summons by the Hokage. That left Mizuki. Naruto wasn't stupid. He was certain that Mizuki had somehow let the information slip to Sasuke. But how? Mizuki never made contact with the team while with the other students. So how did he? Naruto mentally froze and went back over what he just said in his mind. After a moment, he mentally growled, which didn't go unnoticed by Kyuubi. Sasuke was the last student to take the exam. You're learning, Kyuubi remarked. I'm not stupid, you know. Naruto thought dryly. Not anymore. Point taken, but enough about that. Something needs to be done about this. I agree. I think we should go tell Wait Strike that. Mizuki is walking up from behind you. Kyuubi informed. I don't care what direction he's walking from. As far as I'm concerned, he's walking into a beatdown. Naruto thought darkly. Cool it, Kit, he's a Chunin. Besides, he doesn't have a weapon at the ready and I don't sense any killing intent. Let's see what he wants first. He just might do something to incriminate himself. Activate that Ijutsu of yours, but keep the visual quality at a minimum. You haven't mastered the technique enough to go at a higher quality without your eyes glowing. Naruto gave the vixen a mental nod and turned around to face the last person he wanted to see without giving away too much of his real opinion of the headmaster. What do you want, Mizuki-sensei? Naruto asked in a low voice. Naruto, I would like to apologize for the way I acted in the testing room. Mizuki said in a not-so-obvious fake apologetic tone. However, it wasn't enough to fool the blonde. He's up to something. I agree. Be on guard, Kit. Kyuubi warned. Naruto gave her a quick yes ma'am before mentally turning his attention back to Mizuki. I realize that because of your large chakra capacity, it would have been impossible to make a regular clone. That's why I've decided to give you a second chance. Mizuki offered. Second chance? Naruto echoed. He heard Kyuubi mumbling bullshit and quietly agreed. Yes. The shadow clone jutsu isn't a jutsu that you can find just anywhere outside the forbidden scroll. Mizuki pointed out with a smile that Naruto knew was a cover for a smirk. For your makeup exam, I want you to go and get the scroll the jutsu is located in. Once you do that, I want you to meet me in the backwoods of the Uchiha compound. I will be waiting with your headband. By the way, please don't tell anyone about this test. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to explain to some parents why their kids weren't given this type of test when they failed. So, do you accept this makeup exam? Mizuki asked. Naruto thought about asking why he wanted the forbidden scroll, but thought better of it. It wouldn't do for Mizuki to think that he was smarter than he lead on. That didn't keep him from forming his own opinions. Sure thing, Mizuki-sensei. I'll have that forbidden scroll for you tonight, and you'll be forking over that headband to me, Naruto said with faux enthusiasm. Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting to attend before we meet tonight, Mizuki said and walked back into the academy building. As soon as the Chunin was out of sight, Naruto's fake smile dropped and was replaced with a frown. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's trying to get me to commit treason, Naruto thought, narrowing his eyes at the departing Mizuki. Ding ding ding. We have a winner, Kyuubi said. So, what do you want to do about this? Gigi needs to know about this, now. Most Jonin aren't allowed anywhere near that scroll, let alone a Chunin. From there, we can come up with a plan to catch his ass in the act. Chapter 3, Springing the Trap. Mizuki could hardly believe his luck. The demon brat actually fell for it. Mizuki knew that almost no student would fall for such an obvious lie, hence the reason he approached Naruto, and not any of the other academy students. The Kyuubi may have been vicious, but apparently it isn't very smart. Mizuki smirked as he waited for Naruto to finish his test. The plan was simple: have the demon brat steal the forbidden scroll and bring it to him. Once the boy delivered the scroll, he would simply attack and kill the little monster before creating a duplicate of the forbidden scroll. Then when the ANBU arrived to assess the situation, he would claim that the boy attempted to leave the village and was forced to stop him. Once the ANBU secured the forbidden scroll, Mizuki would then take the scroll back to his employer, who would pay the Chunin enough to buy an entire city block, or enough to live comfortably for the rest of his life. It was an hour past the time the boy was supposed to have met with him, and Mizuki was starting to get slightly impatient. The demon brat is late. Even Kakashi the copy ninja was never this late for something important. Just as he banished these thoughts, he heard a noise from below the tree he was in and glanced down. An predatory grin formed as he saw Naruto sit down on the ground to wait. A rather large scroll was sitting next to him. It never dawned on him how Naruto was able to approach his location without the traitorous Chunin sensing his chakra signature. Just as I thought, he was able to obtain the forbidden scroll. Now, Mizuki was about to jump out of the tree when another figure unexpectedly showed up. Mizuki scowled. Iruka, he mentally spat. While he hated the demon brat more, he never really liked Iruka at all either. In his opinion, the man cuddled his students far too much for his liking. The young Chunin instructor was just too caring to be a true ninja. He listened in as Iruka berated the boy for doing something so rash. Naruto, do you have any idea what you've done? Stealing the forbidden scroll is considered treason against the village. Iruka shouted, obviously concerned. I understand why you're angry, I really do. In fact, I honestly have to say that Mizuki made the wrong decision by not allowing you to become a genin, but doing this isn't going to solve your problems. Why not, sensei? Naruto asked, seemingly confused. Mizuki-sensei told me that if I brought the scroll here, I would become a genin. He called it a make-up exam. At this, Iruka froze. Naruto, is this true? The boy nodded. Mizuki frowned for a moment before an evil bloodthirsty grin formed. Why not? I never liked that goody two-shoes anyway. My employer did mention something about forcing him out of the academy at some point in the future. Maybe he'll pay me a little extra for doing it earlier than expected. Yeah, but what's the big deal? Naruto asked, feigning ignorance. Damn it. I should have known something was wrong when he failed you. We need to see the Hokage as soon as Iruka said before being cut off by Naruto tackling him to the ground, narrowly avoiding a windmill shuriken that seemed to come out of the darkness and embed itself into the nearby tree. Good job, Naruto. You've done quite well by getting the scroll, Mizuki said as he jumped down from his hiding spot. Now, the scroll, give it to me. Iruka was shocked as he finally figured out what was really going on. The scarred Chunin was about to yell to him not to hand over the scroll when he was cut off by Naruto's answer. No. For a small moment, there was nothing but silence, before it was broken. What did you say? Mizuki half growled. You heard me, trash. I'm not handing shit over. The blonde looked up to stare at Mizuki, whose eyes widened. His eyes were giving off an angry blue glow. Iruka also saw his eyes. Did you really think I was that stupid? Even a retarded monkey could tell this was a setup. Naruto glared coldly. And Naruto? Why are your eyes glowing like that? The Chunin stuttered. Naruto glanced over at Iruka and answered, I'll tell you later, Iruka-sensei. I promise. After everything you've done for me, I owe you at least that much. But before that, the garbage over there needs to be taken to the curb. Mizuki simply laughed. Do you honestly think you can beat me, demon? I'm a Chunin-level shinobi, and you're just an academy brat. Iruka has a better chance against me, but even he isn't good enough. He then looked over towards said Chunin and smirked darkly. Say, I have an idea, Iruka. Why don't we tell the little monster why the village hates his guts? Iruka's eyes widened in horror. Mizuki, no. That's forbidden. Do you remember a lesson on the attack of the Kyuubi? Mizuki continued, ignoring Iruka's pleads. Naruto feigns a look of interest, deciding to play along. Of course I do. It was killed by the yandame. What's that have to do with anything? Naruto asks. Plenty. You see, the demon fox being killed by the fourth was completely untrue. The yandame couldn't kill the monster, so instead, He sealed him into a newborn baby. You are the nine-tailed fox. Mizuki laughed maniacally as he gleefully waited for the boy to break down and cry. Naruto, who simply smirked, decided that enough was enough and dropped the bomb. You're a bit late with that information, you jackass. For a fleeting moment, it seemed like the entire forest went deathly silent. Both Chunin stared at the boy in complete shock. Iruka was the first to recover. Naruto, why you already knew? Pretty much, Iruka-sensei, but now's not the time to talk about this, Naruto answered before turning his attention back to Mizuki, who had recovered from his shock and grinned darkly. So you knew already? Still, it makes no difference. Once I kill you, my task will be complete. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that last piece of information. So Hibi-sensei and Ero-senin were right, he is working for someone. I wonder, he mentally thought, thinking back to the genin exam. Naruto, Iruka said, bringing the blonde out of his thoughts. Let me handle Mizuki. I don't know what he plans on doing with the scroll, but it's apparent that he is now considered a village traitor. Take the scroll and get away from here, like you could, Iruka. Still, if you want to die with the demon so badly, I will be only too happy to grant your final request. Mizuki shouted the last part as he took the windmill shuriken of his back and flung it at Naruto and Iruka. Both jumped out of the way as the shuriken buried itself into the tree they used to be in front of. Iruka was about to reach into his pouch to take out a kunai when he felt someone grab his hand. Iruka looked up to see Mizuki as he was wagging his finger as if to say nah. Before the dolphin could do anything in response, Mizuki kicked him in the chest. Iruka could have sworn he heard a snap, crackle, and pop as he was sent flying into a tree. Mizuki simply waltzed up to the injured teacher. Tell me, Iruka, why do you defend that monster when you yourself became an orphan because of the Kyuubi? Mizuki sneered. Yes, it's true, I was an orphan because of the Kyuubi attack. Iruka grunted, still in pain from the kick to his ribs, which he noted might be broken. But I refuse to blame a boy who had no choice in the matter when the Kyuubi was sealed inside him. If you can't see that with your own eyes, Mizuki, then we have nothing more to talk about. Still refuse to see the truth, do you? Too bad. I was going to save you for last, but I think it would be better if I got rid of you now, Mizuki said, pulling out a potion and consuming the entire flask. To Iruka's horror, Mizuki started to change. His muscles grew at an alarming rate, while his skin started to change into fur, which resembled a Bengal tiger. Even his ears started to change into ears that looked to belong to a feline. Once the transformation was completed, the traitorous Nin gave Iruka a predatory grin, revealing several sharp fangs. Mizuki, what have you done to yourself? Iruka gasped. Ha ha ha, impressive, isn't it? This formula increases my power and stamina. You should be honored, Iruka. I was going to test it out on the demon first, but I simply couldn't wait that long. Now Mizuki reached down and grabbed Iruka by his Chunin jacket and lifted him off the ground, bring him face to face with the Chunin-turned-Bengal beast. Any last words before I rip you to pieces? Mizuki growled out with his grin still present. Iruka didn't say anything. He'd be damned if he gave Mizuki what he wanted. Mizuki, seeing that he wasn't going to get another word out of Iruka, shrugged and raised his clawed hand/paw above his head, preparing to end the Chunin's life. He never got a chance as something slammed into the side of his face, separating him from Iruka, sending him flying back nearly 20 yards. Mizuki was about to demand who hit him when he heard an ice-cold voice speak up. You should be asking yourself that question. Mizuki instantly looked up and saw Naruto Uzumaki standing in front of Iruka. You little shit! Mizuki screamed, as he charged the blonde. The traitor was so focused on ending the boy's life, he never saw a clone intercept him with a kick aimed right at the side of his face, sending him crashing into a nearby tree. Mizuki was about to get back up when he realized that he was much slower than before. Mizuki glared at Naruto, who simply gave him the people's eyebrow. A/N. For you non-WWE fans, the people's eyebrow is when The Rock raises his eyebrow after saying, if you smell what The Rock is cooking. You do know that Thundercats has been off the air for more than 2 decades, right? Naruto drawled. He heard Kyuubi roar with laughter at his remark towards Mizuki. The taunt seemed to only anger Mizuki even more. He wanted to attack the boy, but found his moves to be very sluggish. He had very little strength, and knew that if he tried to attack while in his current state, the boy could easily injure him further. What did you do to me? Mizuki shouted. Naruto simply smirked as a light blue glow radiated off of the boy. Mizuki's eyes widened when he noticed that small threads of electricity were flowing from the boy's body. That's when it hit him. You did something to my nervous system. Mizuki realized. Naruto's smirk only got wider. So you finally figured it out. Guess you're not a complete fool after all. It's a Kekkai Jinkai and it allows me complete control over electricity. Naruto explained. How is that a bloodline limit, demon brat? More than half of Kumo's ninja force can use lightning in their jutsus. Mizuki fired back, but had a sudden sense of dread when Naruto's grin remained plastered on the boy's face. Yes, they can use lightning, but there are 2 major differences. 1. My lightning abilities go far beyond jutsus. The very essence of the element is embedded into my DNA, which means that it can use it for many more things than jutsus. There was much more, but Naruto decided not to voice it. Nothing good ever came out of talking about abilities that haven't been seen yet. Mizuki gritted his teeth. He hated to admit it, but that was a rather potentially powerful bloodline limit. Still, he figured that the use of such a power would suck the boy dry of chakra, even with the Kyuubi sealed in him. That is quite a power, but just like everything else, it still uses chakra for power, and I'm sure it is quite the guzzler. Mizuki smirked, thinking he had called the boy's bluff. His blood ran cold when Naruto smiled very darkly at him. That's the second major difference. My Kekei Genkai runs off a separate and completely independent power system. In other words, its chakra consumption is absolutely zero. That said, I do have the ability to mix the two power systems to come up with jutsu that only I can use. Mizuki paled. I am possible. Such a bloodline limit easily surpasses most, and may even rival the Sharingan. It's bad enough that the brat has more chakra than anyone else in the village, but now I find out that he has something like this? While Mizuki was lost in his thoughts, Naruto walked over and helped Iruka up off the ground. Are you okay, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked in concern. Iruka gave him a small smile and nodded. Don't worry, Naruto, I'm fine. Just a few cracked ribs is all, nothing Tsunade-sama can't fix. Naruto grinned, happy that his mentor wasn't seriously injured. He then turned and walked towards Mizuki. If that potion was what I think it was, I believe it's time I reverse the effects, Naruto said as he reached into one of the pouches on his pants, and pulled out a piece of paper with the kanji for anti-transformation and slapped it on Mizuki's chest. The tag took effect immediately, changing Mizuki back to his human form. I knew something was off about you. Naruto spoke. What are talking about, demon brat? Mizuki sneered, but immediately regretted it when he felt not just Naruto's ki, but Iruka's as well. You have no right to talk, Mizuki, not after you just turned yourself into a Bengal tiger. Iruka said in an uncharacteristically cold tone. I think I understand what Naruto is saying. I wholeheartedly disagreed with you failing him at the genin exam, and the fact that he just single-handedly took you down certainly isn't going to get me to change my mind. I now think that you purposely failed him just because of the Kyuubi sealed inside him. Mizuki just smirked at the Chunin's accusation. Even if it is true, you have nothing to back up your claim. Without any kind of proof, the demon will still be drummed out of the program, and there's not a damn thing anyone can do about that. Iruka clenched his fist in anger. He's right. Without evidence of his tampering, Naruto will still be labeled a failure, and the civilian council will most certainly move to drum him out of the academy. Damn you, Mizuki, he thought as he heard Mizuki continue to weakly laugh. It didn't last long as a cold voice seemed to rang out of nowhere. I always knew you were a piece of shit, Mizuki. Everyone turned to see no other than Cole McGrath with his arms folded, standing on a branch glaring coldly down at Mizuki. Did you really think that the kid was stupid enough to fail for that shit? The little monster asked me that earlier. The little bastard did exactly what I told him to do, Mizuki shot back, but was cut off by another new voice. After he came and told Sarutobi-sensei and ourselves about your little scheme. Mizuki turned around and was about to fire an insult at the person, but immediately paled when he saw one of three Sannin staring coldly at him, Orochimaru. Your fate was sealed the moment you tried to get Naruto-kun to steal the forbidden scroll for you. As for there being no evidence of you tampering with his exam, I'm afraid you are woefully mistaken there as well. Orochimaru smirked and turned to Naruto, who was also smirking. Mizuki was now starting to sweat. You're bluffing, Sannin. What possible evidence could you have? Mizuki shouted, but everyone knew it was a bravado. You're only half right, Mizuki team. Orochi-sensei doesn't have the evidence, but I do. Naruto grinned as he pulled out a scroll with the kanji for recorder on it. He immediately unrolled the scroll, laid it out on the ground, and went through a series of hand seals. Lightning fusion art, ocular replay jutsu. The scroll immediately began to glow as the seal on the scroll seemed to levitate off of it. The seal shimmered out of sight, and in its place was a three-dimensional image. Mizuki's eyes slightly widened as he recognized what he was looking at. It was the same classroom that the genin exam was held in earlier. Now then, Naruto started in a serious tone before turning around and show his trademark fox grin. Does anybody have any popcorn? Everyone's sweat dropped at the blonde's antics. Cole / covers his face with one hand. Kid, sometimes I wonder. Orochimaru / shakes his head. Must you, Naruto-kun? Iruka / pinches the bridge of his nose. He may have improved by leaps and bounds, but he's still Naruto. Mizuki / eye twitches. I've been outsmarted by this. Kyuubi / groans. He may be smarter than most genin, but he's still a goofy ass at times. After a moment, Naruto decided that it was time to be serious again and put his hands into the ram seal. Rip your Hajimaru. Begin replay, Naruto says. The 3D image suddenly starts to go in motion. After a few seconds, Mizuki notices that the blonde Jinchuriki is nowhere to be seen in the recording. Then it dawned on him. The recording is from Naruto's point of view. The recording showed the boy's test questions, causing Iruka's eyes to widen. Those are Chunin-level questions, the dolphin gasped. Oh, it gets better, Naruto said somewhat dryly, motioning everyone to continue watching. At around the 34 seconds mark, the image zoomed in on Sasuke Uchiha, or rather his test paper, pre-written answers and all. Mizuki! What is the meaning of this? Iruka nearly shouted in anger. It's not like he would have failed, Iruka. He is a prodigy, after all, unlike the demon. Mizuki shot back. Kid, when you find a way to summon me, I want first crack at morons like him. Kyuubi growled. Oh really? Naruto cut in, giving the traitor a cold glare before turning to Iruka. Keep watching, Iruka-sensei, you're gonna love this, he grinned. The recording showed Naruto answering the test questions. However, that's not what shocked Iruka and most notably, Mizuki. Naruto, you answered every single one of those questions correctly. Even I wasn't able to answer some of these, Iruka said above a whisper in near total shock. When did Naruto get this smart? Shikamaru is the only other student who could answer most if not all of those questions, mainly because he's a genius. Sakura could answer a few, but that's only through book smarts, not being a genius. The recording stopped as Naruto cancelled the jutsu with the ram seal, then rolled the scroll up and put it back into the same pocket he stored it in earlier. Mizuki could do nothing but grind his anger. Impossible! The demon Brad is supposed to be an idiot, yet he managed to answer every single question. Where did he get his knowledge? Still, it doesn't matter. I've already graded the papers, and according to the papers I have, Naruto Uzumaki didn't answer a single question. Mizuki smirked, but dropped when he saw Orochimaru smirk at him. And I suppose Homoki-san just sat in the middle of the room without a test paper, right? The snake Sannin drawled. Mizuki was confused for a moment, before he suddenly realized what Orochimaru was saying. He was spying on me. Yes, I was in the office while you were grading papers. You even made a nice 3-point shot using Naruto-kun's Chunin level test. So what was that about no proof, Mizuki team? Naruto glared. So what? You still failed because you made the wrong kind of clones. Mizuki yelled with a hint of desperation in his voice. Fool. You know damn well that there is no such rule. Garbage like you are the reason why Naruto-kun has had a horrible life. Orochimaru growled. No arguments here. Quite frankly, I'm getting tired of your bullshit, Mizuki. Cole spat. Mizuki, Iruka said coldly. As far as I'm concerned, your evaluation means nothing as you are now a criminal of Konoha. By rule, I exercise my right to relieve you of your position, and as my first act as interim headmaster, I hereby overrule your final decision on Naruto's genin exam and promote him to genin. You can't do that. You don't have the right. Mizuki screamed in rage. Actually, Iruka-san does. Came a new voice. Everyone looked to the direction of the voice to see none other than the Sandaime, the god of shinobi himself. Somebody's fear, Kyuubi said in a sing-song tone. Mizuki, you have betrayed your village by attempting to steal the forbidden scroll. What do you have to say for yourself? Sarutobi's tone was calm, but everyone knew better. The god of shinobi was angry. You old piece of shit. You won't be able to last forever, that I can promise, Mizuki growled, but instantly stopped when he felt a very large ki hit him in full force which, to his surprise and horror, came from Naruto. Mizuki froze with fear when he saw the blonde. His eyes were glowing an extremely luminant blue with a large amount of electricity flowing around his body. I've had enough of this, you piece of trash. You will show Hokage-sama the respect he deserves. But since I know you don't have the balls to apologize, Naruto said in a low icy tone, and put his fingers together to form an X. Within seconds, 50 Narutos shimmered into existence. Mizuki's eyes widened in complete terror. He was going to be in severe pain and he knew it. My clones will simply beat an apology out of you. Mizuki never even got a chance to scream as all 50 clones leapt towards the traitor and began beating the bejesus out of him. While Cole, Orochimaru, and Sarutobi looked on as if the action was an everyday thing to them, Iruka's jaw was completely on the ground. Iruka was an instructor and knew about the Shadow Clone Jutsu. The jutsu was classified as a kenjutsu because most ninja, even jonins, couldn't execute the move in a completely safe fashion because the jutsu required a monster amount of chakra. Naruto not only could execute the jutsu, but create 50 shadow clones, the most anyone has ever created, and he wasn't anywhere near the point of chakra depletion. After what seemed like hours, Sarutobi decided to bring the 50 clone bee down to a close. Alright, Naruto. I believe you've made your point, although I'd rather see it continue. Besides, Ibiki wouldn't be too happy with you if you severely injured him too much. Already? I was hoping to see Naruto-kun beat some more blood out of him. Kyuubi half-whined. Gigi's right, Kyuubi-chan. As much as I would love to fuck him up some more, we need information on who hired him, and why. Naruto responded. Kyuubi gave a small pout, but agreed nonetheless. Naruto simply nodded to the old Kage and instructed his clones to dispel. When the smoke from the dispelled clones cleared, there on the ground was a very bloody and nearly deformed Mizuki. Cole and Orochimaru praised the blonde's handling of the whole situation before grabbing Mizuki and disappear, taking him to one of the shinobi world's most feared interrogators, Ibiki Marino. Sarutobi also commended the boy on making the right decision and stated to Iruka that he would be permanently appointed as the academy's headmaster, and disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving Naruto and Iruka. One of these days I'm going to learn how to do that, Naruto murmured. Naruto, Iruka said, getting the boy's attention. You deserve this now even more than you did earlier. I know it has been a tough road for you, but today you took a major step towards becoming Hokage. Iruka smiled, untying his headband from his forehead and tying it to Naruto's head. Congratulations, Naruto, genin of the Konoha Ninja Corp. You've earned this more than anyone. Wear it with pride. Naruto began to get misty-eyed, but held back the tears of joy and smiled at his teacher before embracing Iruka with a hug. Thanks, Iruka-sensei, for everything. No problem, Naruto. Iruka said softly. Since you graduated, why don't I take you out for some ramen? Naruto's face lit up upon hearing Iruka's offer to treat him to his favorite food. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Well, what are we waiting for? I'm starving, Naruto said, his hyper nature showing through as he dragged Iruka towards Ichiraku. Inside, Kyuubi couldn't help but smile warmly at the boy. Everything had worked out in the end, even if the path was much bumpier than they had anticipated. Not bad, Naruto-kun, not bad at all. Konoha Ninja Academy, 8:12 a.m. All the genin who had graduated were in the classroom, waiting for Iruka to arrive to assign them to teams. While most of the class chatted away, happy about becoming genin, some students remained quiet. Hinata, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were clearly upset. They knew that there were people who were against Naruto, despite not knowing why, but they still thought that the blonde would graduate right with them. Shino, while normally quiet anyway, also seemed down. Kin had a sad look on her face. Naruto always treated Tayuya and herself with respect and had hoped that he would graduate with them. Tayuya was simply fuming. She knew what it was like to be hated for no reason. Her previous village had shunned her for something that her parents had done. Despite the fact that she was publicly and privately disgusted with them for what they had done and her family for defending it, she was still treated like trash. She saw how Mizuki looked at Naruto. I'll bet my whole fucking Ichi collection that he sabotaged Naruto's exam. She looked over towards Naruto's group of friends. Seems like they think something's up too. As if on cue, Kiba broke the silence between the group. Bullshit. The Inuzuka spat. Absolute bullshit. Tell me about it. This situation is highly troublesome. Shikamaru agreed. Naruto should have graduated along with us, seeing as he was the strongest amongst us. I smell a rat, Choji added. This got the attention of Shino, Tayuya, and Rin. The fuck? Granted, he's pretty good, but the strongest? Tayuya mentally questioned. They know something that the rest of the class doesn't. What that something is remains elusive even to me. Shino pondered. While Shino and Tayuya kept their thoughts to themselves, Kin uncharacteristically voiced hers. What are you talking about? Sure, he wasn't anywhere near being the dead last, but he wasn't the strongest. Wouldn't that be Hinata? No, I'm not. Everyone turned towards the Hyuga heir, who had her eyes closed. To most people, it looked like she was deep in thought, and for the most part, she was. Hinata was certain that Naruto would pass, as she had seen him do all of the necessary jutsus to pass the exam many times. She knew that somehow, Mizuki played a part in this based on the way he looked at Naruto with such disdain. However, her friends knew that Hinata closed her eyes for a different reason. If she opened her eyes, tears would spill out like a knocked-over glass of water. Naruto is much stronger than me. The only reason he didn't have the best scores is because some of us, including Iruka-sensei, suspect that some of the Chunin instructors have purposely tried to sabotage Naruto Naiken's education with some degree of success early on. The fact that it almost completely stopped after Iruka took charge of our class seems to support this. Hinata explained with an even voice, despite her real feelings about the whole situation. Based on what I have seen, your theory is indeed a logical one. Shino spoke up, which surprised most since the bug user didn't speak often. The Aburame's right. As far as I'm concerned, Naruto is one of the best this class has to offer. Hell, even Niji from last year isn't as good as him. Ken spoke up. It's a fucking shame. Not only is he good, but he's also a pretty decent guy, too, unlike that piece of Uchiha garbage over there. Tayuya said, spitting out Sasuke's clan name like a nasty piece of food. Sasuke, who had been listening to the whole thing, decided to add insult to injury, starting with the red-haired beauty. Taya-chan, I'm hurt. I would have thought a strong kunoichi like you would admire a strong ninja like myself, and not that dead last loser. How many times must I say it, you fucking little jutsu thief? I don't like you, period, and if you call me Taya-chan again, I'm going to kick your balls up and out of your throat. Sasuke ignored her threat and looked at Kin. Surely you can appreciate my power, don't even try Uchiha. I don't like you any more than Tayuya does. Kin snapped. Sasuke frowned at his latest attempt to make a move on Tayuya and Kin, but then smirked when he turned his attention towards the rest of the group, intending to taunt them. Are you still upset over the dope failing? Get over it. We all knew he was a loser and Mizuki-sensei proved it yesterday. Considering what he is, he should just drop dead. Sasuke goaded, hoping to get one of them to start a fight with him, which could eventually get them in trouble. Ami and most of the fangirls laughed at the group, wondering why they supported such a loser. Shikamaru and Choji scowled at Sasuke's verbal assault. Shino remained quiet, but his bugs were angrily buzzing up a storm. Kiba and Akamaru were outright growling at the Uchiha. Hinata looked like she was really going to cry despite the glare she was sending him. How could they be so cruel? Sasuke saw this and decided to press the attack even more. I guess I can't blame you for crying, Hyuga. Not only are you not going to win Rodi, but you'll also have to move on without the little loser. Sasuke taunted, getting even more jeers from his fan club. He was about to continue when he heard the last voice he expected to hear. Man, you must like to hear yourself talk, don't you, team? Everyone in the classroom whipped their heads towards the door to see Naruto standing in it with his arms crossed with a neutral look on his face. While most of the class was confused as to why the Naruto was even here since they had found out that he had supposedly failed the genin exam, his friends noticed that he was wearing a Konoha headband. Apparently, he hadn't failed after all. Naruto! Hinata half shouted, happy to see Naruto. The blonde simply nodded in their direction with a small smile. What are you doing here, dope? Sasuke scowled at the blonde. Naruto walked towards Sasuke and stopped a few inches apart, almost beside him, but the two could still see each other. The Uchiha was about to repeat himself when Naruto cut him off. Yesterday's little stunt didn't work, you cheating little bastard. Naruto hissed only low enough for Sasuke to hear, causing said Uchiha's eyes to widen in shock. Unknown to Sasuke, Kiba and Akamaru had picked up on the conversation due to Inuzuka clan's ability to heighten their senses by applying chakra to their extremities. I don't know what you're talking about, though, Sasuke said, but Naruto wasn't fooled at all. While he isn't skilled enough to read minds yet, he had enough control of his electrical powers to sense pulses very close to him, and Sasuke's heart skipped a beat. I think you do, team, Naruto said, continuing to ignore a few of the fangirls demanding what he was doing here. Then why don't you prove it? Sasuke sneered, trying to intimidate him into backing off. Naruto didn't immediately respond, which caused Sasuke to smirk at him as if to say, I just got away with it, and you can't do anything about it. His smirk disappeared when he saw Naruto give a very dark grin. I don't have to. Your involvement is going to cost you dough. Naruto left the words hanging in the air as he walked past Sasuke and towards his friends, leaving the rest of the class to talk amongst themselves in a low volume. Sasuke had a deep frown on his face, but inside he was absolutely worried. How did he find out, and why the hell did he call me dope? His thought was cut short when Irika shined into the room. Alright everyone, take your seats. Seeing that the class wasn't aware that he had shown up, Irika started to go through the hand seals for his big head no jutsu, but someone had beaten him to it. Will you fuckers shut the hell up? The whole room immediately went silent as they all turned to see where the voice came from. To nobody's surprise, Taiya Simple stood there with her right eye twitching like crazy. She then turned towards Irika. Floor's yours, Scarface, Taiya said. Irika was slightly annoyed by the nickname, but didn't take total offense to it. Taiya preferred nicknames and rarely called people by their proper name, although she did call the Chunin instructor by his name every now and then. Her language was also a lot, on the foul side, but they were ninjas. Nobody said their language had to be civil outside of formal meetings. Crude, but at least you saved me from having to do it. Thank you, Taiya-san. First, I would like to congratulate all of you on your promotion to genin. Why is Uzumaki here, Irika-sensei? He isn't even a genin. He failed yesterday. Ami interrupted, only to shut her trap when Irika gave her a glare that said, shut the hell up, you little shit. I would appreciate it if you not interrupt me, Ami-san. Irika said in an even tone, although everyone knew that his thoughts were anything but. Irika glanced at Naruto for a second, who gave a slight nod. Get on with it, Irika. I don't have all day, and where's Mizuki-sensei while we're at it? Sasuke said in a bored tone. While most of his fangirls had stars in their eyes, mentally praising how cool he was, Sakura and Ino's eyes widened. Sasuke was blatantly disrespecting their Chunin-sensei, something both girls were taught was almost never okay. Everyone else was shaking their heads at such an act of stupidity. Naruto had a shit-eating grin as three words entered his mind. In another universe near a moon called Ender, the Rebel Alliance were in the middle of attacking the Second Imperial Death Star when at that moment, several groups of Star Destroyers exited hyperspace, blocking off any possible exit strategy. On the lead rebel ship, Admiral Akbar could only stare in horror as he said those famous words that managed to sum it all up. It's a trap. Irika gave him a very dark look, a look that none of the newly promoted genin had ever seen on the scarred Chunin. So you want to know what happened to him, do you? Although taken aback by Irika's sudden change in demeanor, the Uchiha ignored the obvious warning signs and continued with his line of questioning. Didn't I just ask that? Sasuke rudely responded. While the rest of the class was either shocked, most, starry-eyed, fangirls, or waiting patiently for the outcome, Naruto, one person was just plain angry. Hinata, as nice as she is, was a very scary person to deal with when someone hurt or disrespected someone she had taken a liking to. She was about to verbally lash out at the disrespectful little Uchiha tart when she felt someone's hand gently clamp down on her left shoulder. She turned to find Naruto with a grin on his face. Don't worry, he's about to get his. Naruto smirked. Alright Uchiha, seeing as how you asked so nicely. Irika responded, his voice dripping in sarcasm. As of last night, Mizuki is no longer a Konoha shinobi, let alone this academy's headmaster. There was a collective gasp in the room. The headmaster of the Konoha Ninja Academy not a shinobi? What was going on? Sasuke had a look of shock on his face. His face quickly turned back into a frown. That still doesn't explain why he is here. Sasuke sneered and pointed towards Naruto. Irika stared at him with a strange look that seemed to be a combination of a glare and a smirk. Mizuki deliberately gave Naruto the wrong exam paper during the first part of the genin exam. As a result, he was found guilty of military sabotage by the Hokage just a few hours ago, hence why I was late this morning. The first part of the exam didn't determine if we passed or not. The idiot failed because he made the wrong kind of clone during the final part of the exam. Sasuke argued. His fangirls also shouted their support of his argument. Sasuke simply smirked, thinking he had put the assistant in his place. The smirk disappeared when he saw Iruka grin very darkly. You do realize that there is no such rule, right? Iruka pointed out in a mocking fashion. And how did you get a hold of information that is considered off-limits to other students? Sasuke began to sweat a little. He knew good and well that testing information about other students was off-limits. It doesn't matter. A headmaster's decision can't be reversed by anyone except the headmaster of the academy himself. Sasuke half-shouted in desperation, hoping to Kami that it would be enough to keep the loser from becoming a ninja. Unfortunately for him, Kami ignored his pleads. You're right, which is why I reversed Mizuki's decision last night. Also, there was another thing that he did, but we'll get to that in a moment, Iruka said coldly, but had a ghost of a smirk that only Naruto noticed when he mentioned the last part. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. Before he could respond, Iruka pressed on. Now that that's been cleared up, I will be informing you of your team placement. But first, I have an announcement to make concerning Rookie of the Year. For this year, and perhaps from here on out depending on the Hokage, the Rookie of the Year award will be split into two, Rookie Shinobi of the Year and Rookie Kunoichi of the Year. One of the reasons is that this class is 3 times larger than normal graduating classes. Another change is the placement method. Normally, we try to place the top Shinobi, the top Kunoichi, and the dead last on the same team, but the Hokage has decided to manually rearrange this class placement. Now, onto this year's top Shinobi and Kunoichi. Sasuke leaned back and smirked. The dobe may have been allowed to graduate, but he was still going to win Rodi. Iruka saw the smug look on his face and outwardly frowned, but on the inside he was cackling with glee. He was going to enjoy wiping the smirk off of his face, but first up, this year's Rookie Kunoichi of the Year is Hinata Hyuga. Iruka announced. While most of the fangirls weren't too put off since they knew how good the Hyuga heiress is, Ami was absolutely livid. Despite Hinata's vast improvement in self-confidence, a part of Ami's mind would only allow her to see Hinata as the shy girl that she used to push around during their first year in the academy. She then turned to glare at the reason for the Hyuga's transformation. Damn you, Uzumaki. Damn you to hell. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. I am honored that you think highly enough of me to award me such a title, Hinata said with a slight blush on her face as she walked up to the front of the class to accept a golden kunai, which is awarded to the top rookies of each class. Hinata graciously accepted it, and bowed respectfully to Iruka before making her way back to her seat next to her friends. Congrats, Hinata-chan. You definitely earned it. Naruto congratulated, giving her his foxy smile. He wasn't the least bit surprised that she won Rukodi. Hell, he thought that even if Iruka-sensei hadn't decided to split the award in 2, she still would have won it. I agree with him, Hinata. In fact, not only were you the top kunoichi of this class, you even beat out nearly all of the shinobi in this class as well. Congratulations. That's 2 years in a row that a Hyuga has gotten top honors. Iruka praised with a smile on his face. She's come so far. Hayashi-sama will be proud. Maybe now those old fools on the Hyuga Council will back off on trying to give her the caged bird seal. Now then, let's move on to who has earned Rookie Shinobi of the Year. Iruka continued. The fangirls squealed, believing that their Sasuke-kun had Rusadi in the bag. The males along with Hinata, Tayuya, and Kin were inwardly aggravated. Those damn fangirls will never shut up now that Sasuke was on his way to being awarded Rusadi. Naruto sees the look on his friends' faces and decides to give them a little hint. Guys, the blonde whispers. His friends turned their attention to him. I don't know who will actually take the Rusadi award, but I did manage to get wind of who wasn't going to win it. Naruto had a smirk on his face that all but confirmed that a certain jerk wasn't going to get it after all. They all turned back towards Iruka when they heard him speak again. This year's Rookie Shinobi of the Year is. Sasuke got up and began walking towards the front of the class to accept his award, or so he thought. Iruka quickly glanced over to a certain blonde before dropping the bomb, Naruto Uzumaki. The whole room went as silent as a tomb. For a moment, not a single noise was made. Then the whole class erupted into a crazy combination of confusion, outrage, and cheers. Most of the males, except Sasuke, were absolutely confused. Naruto himself was absolutely stunned. He knew Sasuke wasn't going to get it, but in all honesty, he honestly thought that Shino was going to get it since he was the most well-rounded shinobi in the class. Naruto knew that his own IQ level was actually quite high, but he never gave anyone else the impression that he was a genius, albeit a late bloomer. In fact, the only person who knew was Shikamaru, and that's because he, predictably, figured it out on his own and confronted the blonde about it. Despite that, Shikamaru understood the reason for secrecy and kept quiet about it, letting the boy reveal that information at a later date, be it as a sign of absolute trust to his friends, or as a trump card against his enemies. Sasuke Uchiha also had a shocked look on his face before it turned into one of anger. Excuse me? The Uchiha hissed through his teeth. Not only did he not win Usagi, but the person he considered a loser got the award instead. The fangirls were outraged, the loudest being Ami. Sakura and Ino, while loud, were more confused. How could Sasuke-kun not be Rookie of the Year if he had the highest scores going in? Sakura voiced, who failed to notice her inner self having a different reaction. Alright. Way to go, Naruto-kun. Ino, while louder, also wasn't angry, just highly confused. I agree with forehead. We were told he had the highest scores overall heading into the genin exam. Was that wrong? Ami's reaction was much more directed towards a certain blonde. How the hell can you pick that loser over Sasuke-kun? Naruto Baka is by far the dumbest person in this class. You call someone who got a near-perfect score on a Chunin level test the dumbest person in this class? Shikamaru spoke up, his eyebrow raised. Every head snapped towards the lazy Nara. But the test we took was a genin level test. Sakura contested. Our test was genin level. Naruto's test wasn't. That's how Mizuki tried to fail him. Even I'm not sure I could pass a Chunin level test at this time. Shikamaru replied. The shock was finally setting in. Even Naruto's friends were stunned. If this was true, then that meant that Naruto's IQ was in the neighborhood of the Naras. Sasuke, who was still fuming over the whole thing, couldn't take it anymore. You better have a good explanation as to why that dumbass is a Rookie of the Year instead of me. Irika had enough. He was absolutely sick of Sasuke and his blatant disrespectful attitude. He finally decided that it was time to take him down several notches. Do you honestly think that I'm going to give such a prestigious award to a cheater? Irika spat out. Sasuke froze horror. How did he find out? Kiba, who was somewhat shocked at first, finally understood what he heard earlier. So that's what Naruto was talking about earlier. If he hinted at something earlier, then yes, that's what he meant, Kiba. Irika confirmed. The fangirls themselves were too much in shock to respond. Irika inwardly smirked. If they thought that was bad, just wait until they hear what I'm going to say next. That's not all, Sasuke. The Hokage is well aware of what has transgressed yesterday, and he is highly displeased with you, with not only yesterday, but your entire academy career. This caused Sasuke's blood to freeze. No, apparently, Mizuki has been giving you perfect scores throughout your time here. I can't bar you from becoming a genin since there seems to be no proof that the other instructors did the same. However, in the meeting I attended this morning, it was decided that not only were you to be taken out of the running for Usagi, but as of now, your records will show that you have the worst grades in the class. In other words, you are this year's dead last. Nearly all of his fangirls went insane. They screamed at the scarred Chunin, arguing that there must have been a mistake. Ami, on the other hand, didn't say anything, but she did have an opinion on the matter. So what? At least Sasuke-kun is smart enough to take an advantage when it is given to him. These weaklings rely too much on honesty and good faith. That's why Sasuke-kun will be a great Hokage and not that stupid buffoon Uzumaki. Sakura could only stare in complete shock. Her crush, someone she thought was a hard worker, took the easy way out. So you finally know what that jerk is really about. Now what will you do? Inner Sakura mused. Ino was shocked just like the rest of the fangirls. But unlike the others, she made the decision right then and there to become the first ever Sasuke fangirl to quit the club, although she wouldn't be the last. This is what I was chasing all of these years. Shika was right, Sasuke-kun no Uchiha team is a grade A asshole. Trying to earn this bastard's love was not worth sacrificing my friendship with Sakura. I just hope she feels the same way. Sasuke turned towards Naruto and gave him a hate-filled glare. I know you had something to do with this, dope. You will pay for this humiliation. Irika decided that it was time to move on despite the enjoyment of taking Naruto's doubters down several pegs. Alright, settle down everyone. The entire class began to simmer down and give the Chunin instructor their undivided attention. You all have graduated to the rank of genin. However, from here on out, your life will not be the same as it was here in the academy. The real world is a very dangerous place, and you will be in the middle of it. I won't lie to you, there is a chance that some of you will lose your lives in the next 10 years, but for a lot of you, you will achieve your dreams with enough hard work and devotion. Irika glances at Naruto. It takes teamwork to be successful in the ninja world, which leads me to our next topic, team placement. Every genin before you started their careers in team cells. Today, I will be announcing who you will be paired with. Normally, we tend to try and balance the teams by class ranking, but the Hokage believes that such a thing will be difficult to do with this class, so the teams were made so that theirs will be a good balance of ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. So, without further delay, it is time to announce who you will be teamed up with. Irika picked up a paper that was sitting on his desk and began to read off of it. Team 1 will be. Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looks up upon hearing his name, wondering who he will be paired with. Sakura Haruno. A loud bang sound throughout the classroom as Sakura slammed her head against her desk. How did I get stuck with Naruto Baka and Ino Yamanaka? Your Jonin sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Sakura banged her head on the desk again. And Ino Pig? Everyone looked towards Ino, expecting her to have a hissy fit, but were shocked when she said, not exactly what I had in mind, but it could have been worse. At least I'm not stuck with that bastard. Ino pointed towards Sasuke, who was actually shocked along with the rest of the class. She actually hates me now? Well, she is rather weak along with that pink-haired annoyance. Maybe they will slow the dope down. Moving on, team 8 will be Hinata Hyuga, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your Jonin sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. Kiba looked with a bit of sadness. He really wanted to be on the same team with Hinata. The Hyuga heiress saw this gave him a sad smile. She knew about the dog boy's crush and, to be totally honest, liked him as well. She was glad that 2 of her closest friends were her teammates. Team 9, with the members Niji Hyuga, Rock Lee, and Tenten with Mato Guy as their Jonin sensei, is still in service. Team 10 will be Shino Abirame, Kin Tsuchi, and Tayuya Tsuchi. Your Jonin sensei will be Kurenai Yehi. Shino nodded his head, seeing nothing wrong with his new team. The 2 siblings high-fived each other, happy that they ended up on the same team together. Team 11 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Ami Ijimeko, and Kiba Inuzuka. Your Jonin sensei will be Inabi Uchiha. Ami squealed upon hearing that she would be the only fangirl to be paired with Sasuke while the rest of the fangirls glared daggers at the purple-haired bully. Sasuke simply smirked. Inabi is one of the strongest in the Uchiha clan. He will most certainly help me become strong enough to become clan head. Damn it! Kiba shouted. Most of the class assumed he was upset about not being with Hinata. They were only half right. Kiba hated the fact that he was going to be stuck on a team that would more than likely single him out just for being friends with Naruto. His friends gave him a look of sympathy. Hinata gave him a sad look. Oh Kiba-kun, your Jonin senseis will be here to pick you up shortly. Good luck to all of you. Iruka finished before leaving the classroom. About 10 minutes later, Kurenai Yuhi, Konoha's genjutsu mistress, came in and asked her new students to follow her to one of Konoha's training grounds. Another 10 minutes later, Asuma walked in and collected his genin. About every 7 to 10 minutes, other Jonin came to get their new genin until only Team 7 and Team 10 were left. After 15 minutes of uncomfortable silence, a man with brown hair that went down to his shoulders dressed in a standard Jonin uniform with a Jonin vest walked in. Sasuke immediately recognized the man. Team 11, I am your Jonin sensei, Inabi Uchiha. Come with me. Inabi commanded. Sasuke and Ami got up and walked towards him. Sasuke noticed that Kiba was slightly hesitant to get up and decided to humiliate him a little. What are you waiting for, mutt, a doggy treat? Get down here, Sasuke said. Kiba let out a low growl at Sasuke's taunt, but was cut short by Inabi. You heard him, Inuzuka. Get down here, now. I won't say it again, Inabi said harshly. Kiba clenched his fist so hard that his nails broke his skin, causing them to bleed a little, but did as he was told. Naruto glared at Sasuke for humiliating his friend. Inabi saw the blonde and frowned. You have a problem with my cousin, Uzumaki brat? He spat. Surprisingly, it was Ino that spoke up. With all due respect to your ranking, Inabi-san, I think he has a problem with Sasuke because he's a cheater. Watch your mouth, you little bitch, before I permanently shut it for you. Inabi threatened and turned his Sharingan on, causing Ino to slightly shake in fear at the sight of the Sharingan, but also shake in anger at being called a bitch. Inabi then felt something electric in the air. He turned towards the source of the electricity, which caused his eyes to widen. Glaring at him was a very angry Naruto with his hair slightly sticking out and his eyes glowing. I don't care if you insult me, but if you ever call Ino-chan a bitch or threaten her life again, I will turn you into a Christmas tree. Deactivate your Sharingan, Naruto said in a low dark voice, sending shivers down everyone's spine. No one other than his friends had ever seen this side of Naruto before. I am a Jonin, you demon brat. You will show me respect or I will. Inabi stopped when he felt the hairs on his body stand up. What you're feeling now is a prelude to a lightning strike. Activating your Sharingan in a threatening manner towards a fellow Konoha ninja is against the law, and you know it. Should you refuse to turn it off, I am well within my rights to call down the thunder and kill your ass. I'll say it again, deactivate your Sharingan, now. Naruto warned. Inabi's eyes widened in surprise with a hint of fear. He only felt something like this one other time, when he got on the bad side of one Cole McGrath. He wanted so badly to kill the boy, but unfortunately for him, he was correct. Activating his Sharingan against the Yamanaka girl could get him in hot water with not only the whole Yamanaka clan and their allies, but the Hokage as well. Just you wait, demon brat. Once the Uchiha clan takes over this village, you will be the first person we execute. Inabi inwardly growled as he deactivated his Sharingan, and left the room without saying a word with Sasuke and Ami close behind him. Kiba gave Naruto a nod and smirk that said good one, man, and left as well. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. He was fortunate that Inabi ignored him just long enough for him to lock onto him with a possible lightning strike. The attack is indeed powerful, but since Naruto hasn't mastered it yet, he needed 2 things for it to work. Time, in his case, several seconds, and for the target to either be standing still or slowly moving around for a lock. Cole, on the other hand, had mastered it. It only took him 1.5 seconds to lock on to his target. Ino and Sakura simply gaped at the blonde with looks of shock at what he just did. Naruto defended me, but why? I've been nothing but mean to him. Ino stared in confusion. Sakura was about to berate Naruto for bad-mouthing Sasuke again, when her inner self sensed this and cut her off. You and I are going to have a serious talk later on about him. You are now a genin, which means there are some things that you need to be shown, including some clan jutsus and your Gekkai Genkai. I have a Gekkai Genkai? Yes, but I will explain later. For now, go with your new teammates, and meet up with your sensei. Be warned, while he is highly renowned in the ninja world, he also has a dubious reputation for being late among other things. Inner Sakura warned. Sakura inwardly nodded in understanding and brought her attention back to the real world. She looked at the clock and realized that they had been here for more than an hour. She was about to say something to her teammates, when Naruto snapped his head towards the door. About time, she heard him mumble. A few seconds later, the door opened to reveal a silver-haired jonin with his headband covering his left eye and a mask over the bottom half of his face. He was reading an orange book. Team 7? The jonin inquired. So you're Kakashi Hatake? Naruto stated calmly. And you're late. No surprise there. So this guy's the famous copy ninja. And what is he reading? Sakura inwardly mused to herself. He looks like a lazy ass to me. Ino mentally deadpanned. My first impression of you is the genin leaned forward. I don't have one yet. All three face faulted. Meet me up on the roof and hopefully that will change. Kakashi I smiled before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Well, you heard the man. Let's get up there and see what's in store for us. Naruto grinned and made his way to the door. Naruto? Came Ino's voice as she looked at him questioningly. Naruto turned back towards her. I know you girls have questions. To be honest, I honestly don't know if I am ready to reveal some of those answers at this time, but I promise that you will know everything in due time. For now, let's go up to the roof and meet our new sensei. Naruto replied. Chapter 4, Enter Team 7. Alright then, now that you are all here, why don't you tell me all about yourselves? Kakashi suggested. The three genin looked at him, not quite getting what he wants them to say. Sakura spoke up. What do you mean, sensei? I mean, what are your likes, dislikes, hobbies, goals, dreams, and so on? Kakashi answered while still reading his orange book. Why don't you go first and show us how it's done? Kakashi closed his book and put it away. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I like some things and I dislike other things. My dream don't really feel like telling you that. As for hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. Sakura's sweat dropped at the jonin's example. All we learned was his name, which we already knew. Naruto had his eyes closed, but a noticeable twitch in his right eye could be seen. Hibi-sensei was right, he's even too lazy to tell us about himself. Ino, who also looked slightly annoyed, simply voiced what was on her mind. Wow, what a resume. She deadpanned. Kakashi I smirked. At least one of them speaks their mind, although I have to admit that I thought it would be Naruto. Oh well, just for that little crack, you get to go first, Blondie. Ino sighed, but did what the jonin said. Better not to give a bad impression to the person that will be teaching you for years. My name is Ino Yamanaka. I like flowers, my family and friends, shopping, sports, chocolate, and she paused for a moment before quickly glancing towards Naruto. Kakashi picks up on the gesture, but decides not to comment on it for now. I dislike sashimi, cruel people, and most recently her face went dark for a moment before looking up with a cold look on her face. Sasuke Uchiha, she said, causing Sakura to look at her in shock. She was about to ask her childhood friend why, but Kakashi beat her to it. From what I gather, you're one of his biggest supporters. Did he turn you down or something? Was one of his biggest supporters, sensei? No, that wasn't it at all. That bastard is nothing more than a shit stain who prefers to take the easy way out. That's understandable. I admit that I'm not very high on him after taking part in that incident. Anyway, what about the rest of yourself, like your dreams or goals in life? Kakashi urged. My dream is to surpass Tsunade of the Sannin and become one of the strongest kunoichi in the world. Ino finished. I honestly didn't expect much out of this one, but it looks like she has moved past her fangirl stage and decided to focus on becoming a real ninja. She needs some physical training and she needs to quit the dieting, but she has potential. Kakashi mused, giving Ino a nod. Ino wasn't rail thin by any means, but the rigorous training done by ninjas won't allow her to be on a diet that focuses on less eating. In fact, even eating as much as the average civilian wouldn't be enough. Okay, Pinky, you're next. Kakashi pointed to Sakura. Sakura lightly glared at the Cyclops, but decided to let it go. It wasn't that bad of a nickname. My name is Sakura Haruno. I also like flowers, studying, and my mom. Aren't you leaving out a certain person? Kakashi asked. Sakura was silent for a moment before finally answering the copy ninja's question. I'm not sure. I've always thought that Sasuke was a strong and honorable person. However, after today, I can't look at him the same way again. I don't know if I hate him per se, but I'm certain that I don't like him anymore either. Kakashi nodded. It wasn't a pleasant experience to find out that the person you like the most turns out to be a fraud in some respects. What about your dreams? My dream is to become a good medical ninja and have a family, although I honestly don't know with whom anymore. And your dislikes? Naruto. He's so annoying, loud, and stupid. He keeps bugging me for a date even though I keep saying no. For once, I wish he would just leave me alone, Sakura said in an aggravated tone. Naruto couldn't keep the look of hurt off of his face. Ino saw the look and couldn't help but feel bad for him. Did he always look like this when we scolded him for talking to us? Inner Sakura was highly aggravated, but with her outer self, not Naruto. That's it. It's time that she learned the whole truth. Possible insanity be damned, and who really saved her from those damn bullies? Kakashi shook his head in disappointment. If she only knew that most of the things she said weren't true. Kakashi then notices that Ino looked tempted to reach out and give the boy a hug, which surprised him. Wait, she actually feels sorry for him. At least he's got one ally for now. If Sakura doesn't wake up soon, she could end up being alienated by not just her teammates, but most of the rookies as well since, from what Hokage-sama told me earlier, he seems to have a great relationship with them. Not wanting the uncomfortable silence to continue, Kakashi decided to move on. He would have a talk with the Pinkette later. Alright then Whiskers, you're up, and please tell us about the real you. Huh? What did he mean by that? Ino and Sakura thought in confusion. They looked over and saw that Naruto had his eyes closed as if he was thinking it over. Flashback. Naruto-kun, Tsunade began. Up until now, I, along with Jiraiya, have told you that it was imperative you keep your real name and personality a secret. Yes, Bachan, you did. Why bring this up now? Naruto asked. Because, despite the advantage that this grants you, it won't last forever. But I thought that you said that I shouldn't reveal my secrets, or the council will try and remove me from the clan. Yes, that's true. However, the only reason they can do something is because you are currently a civilian. Tsunade stated. Remember, only the civilian council despises you. The shinobi council already knows of your secret, and have no intentions of telling those empty-headed fools that you have a family, at least not yet, anyway. Tsunade then gave the whiskered boy a knowing smirk. And with the genin exam coming up in a week, Naruto's eyes widened at what his surrogate mother was implying. You mean, yes, Naruto-kun. End flashback. Naruto stood up and opened his eyes. Kakashi-sensei, you're right. I think that it's time that I began telling everyone who I really am. Kakashi smiled at the boy. Here we go. I just hope it goes over well enough. It's bad enough that he has to put up with so much from the civilians. He doesn't need people other than Sasuke Uchiha despising him. Everyone knows me as Naruto Uzumaki. However, that's not my entire name. Naruto began. He saw that both girls were looking at him with confused expressions. Naruto sighed. This was going to be a system shocker. My full name is Naruto Uzumaki Shinsei. Both Ino and Sakura's eyes widened in complete shock. For several minutes, nobody said anything. Ino and Sakura expected something fairly big, but not this big. The boy that they had considered to be an annoying, stupid, average talent, no clan loser, turned out to be a member of one of the village's youngest, but powerful and wealthiest clans. Granted, Ino had already realized that Naruto wasn't stupid nor was he just average, but him belonging to a clan, period, was a major surprise, let alone a superpower clan. Sakura, on the other hand, was ill-prepared for such news and nearly passed out. Inner Sakura's sweat dropped at her outer self. I wonder how she's going to react when I teach her that jutsu and finds out everything about him on her own. Look, I know that it doesn't make sense, Naruto began, but was cut off. Actually, it makes plenty of sense. I've long figured out that you weren't some kind of moron and that you have far more than average talent. But why didn't you ever use your clan name while in the academy? Ino inquired. Because the civilian council would either try to disband the clan or forcefully remove me from it. Naruto answered, his voice obviously giving off a sad tone. Kit, you may have said too much. You know she's going to look into that, Kyuubi gently warned. She's going to find out anyway since she is a Yamanaka and the heiress to said clan. Remember, she is a natural mind walker and will eventually come across that information one way or another. Naruto responded. Point taken. Still, be careful how you word things from here on out. The Yamanaka girl and maybe the Haruno girl may be able to understand the circumstances behind my attack of your village, but some people are so blinded by hate that they don't care who's really behind it. Then there are some who hold the Uchiha clan in such high regard that they will refuse to believe that those jutsu thieves willed the partial destruction of the village. Agreed. Ino was confused by the boy's answer. To her, it seemed like someone on the civilian council was out to get him for some unknown reason. You're getting warm. Came a voice inside her head. Ino was about to shout what the hell, but was cut off by the same voice. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You don't want your teammates to think that you are some kind of nut now, do you? The voice responded. Ino thought for a second before remembering something and decided to test it. Who are you and why do you sound like me? Ino sent a mental reply. My, you are a smart one if you figured out how to communicate with me that quickly. As for your questions, let's wait until you are away from your teammates. We have much to discuss. The voice explained. Ino silently agreed with the voice and made a note to find an out-of-the-way spot to mentally talk with the voice without interruption. Kakashi decided once more to keep things on track to help Naruto avoid answering questions he wasn't ready to give the answers to. What are your likes, dislikes, dreams and so on, Naruto? Naruto seemed to snap out of his sad state and put on a somewhat genuine smile. I like my family and friends, just like Ino-chan, ramen, football, and in this FIC, the term football will refer to the American-style game, finding and creating new jutsus and seals, and reading. Naruto likes to read? Kakashi mentally gasped. He knew the boy could read, but he never thought that the blonde liked to read as a hobby. He's been creating his own jutsus and seals, thought a surprised Ino. That sort of thing requires some serious creativity and brain power, especially seals. It was then that she finally understood. Naruto had been hiding nearly every true thing about himself. The only things that seemed to connect the mask and the real McCoy was his friendly attitude, his appetite for ramen, and his pranking nature. He was never truly the dead last at any point. It did, however, beg the question, then why were his grades so horrible during the first half of his academy career? Sakura looked down. He added a chan at the end of Ino Pig's name, but he didn't even mention me. For some reason, that last part hurt. The two genin and one-eyed jonin were brought out of their thoughts when they heard Naruto continue. My dislikes are selfish people. Most of the Uchiha clan. His facial expression then turned cold and said the last part in a low, but icy voice, and traitors. That sent shivers down everyone's back. They had never seen the boy like this before. While the two kunoichi were wondering why he said the last part with such disdain, Kakashi knew exactly why his view was so hateful towards traitors. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Naruto does see the Hokage as a grandfather figure. The fact that Mizuki willfully took advantage of the Hokage's magnanimous attitude towards ninja under his command must have caused him to have zero tolerance for traitors. Somehow I get the feeling that Mizuki may end up being the only traitor to survive Naruto's wrath from here on out. My dream is to become strong and become Hokage and maybe find someone who will see me for who I am as a person. Naruto nearly whispered the last part, but everyone heard it nevertheless. Kakashi smiled at Naruto, indicating that he and the boy were going to get along just fine. Now that the introductions are over, let's discuss what you three will be doing, provided that you pass the genin examination 2 days from now. That got the three genins' attention. Sensei, we already took the genin exam yesterday. Sakura spoke up. She immediately got an uneasy feeling when the lazy jonin eye smiled mischievously. What you passed yesterday was a genin preliminary qualification exam. In other words, that exam is designed to determine who is eligible to possibly become genin. The test you will be taking in 2 days will decide if you are ready for life as a ninja or if you need more seasoning. Sensei? Ino spoke up. Kakashi turned his attention to the blonde mind walker and nodded his head, motioning for her to continue. Why are you holding the test in 2 days instead of tomorrow? Does the test take that much time to set up? Well now, she's a smart one too. In fact, my whole team is smart now that I think about it. Still, I won't be able to tell her everything. That's very perceptive of you, Ino. The Hokage has ordered a meeting and the ninja council members and some ninja, myself included, are required to attend. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it's about since what will more than likely be discussed will be S-ranked. Kakashi answered. Please don't tell me, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto groaned. I'm afraid so, Naruto. You will be required to attend since you are the only candidate to succeed Tsunade as clan head of the Shinsei clan. Sensei, I thought that the clan head had to be at least a chunin to become clan head. Ino pointed out. In most cases, yes. However, there are a few exceptions to that rule. However, we are getting off topic here. In 2 days, I will be giving you 3-year genin test. The only thing that I will tell you about this test is that should you fail it, you will be sent back to the academy for 1 semester before you can try again with the same team, or another of the Hokage's choosing. I will see you 3 at 8 a.m. sharp. Oh, and I would suggest not eating anything the morning of your exam. You just might throw it right back up. Kakashi eye smiled before poofing away. While Sakura and Ino stared in comical horror at the last part of Kakashi's speech, Naruto was instantly suspicious. Why the hell would he say that? Kao-chan told me once that not eating before doing any kind of strenuous activity could have unwanted consequences. Deciding that to file the thought away for later, he walked over to his new teammates. Hey Sakura-chan, Ino-chan, you want to go get something to eat? He offered. I can't. I've got some things to do, Sakura said, a little too fast, and took off towards her home. Naruto felt a little hurt that his pink crush turned down a chance for some team bonding. He turned to Ino and was about to ask the same thing, but stopped when Ino shook her head. Sorry Naruto, but I need to go and think some things over, Ino said. She immediately regretted saying so when she saw the look of heartbreak on his face. She actually did want to go and have lunch with him, even if half the reason was to try and figure him out, but she also needed to find out what that voice in her head was and what it wanted to talk to her about. It's okay, go ahead and tell him. He revealed things about himself. The best way to establish trust is to reveal things about you in return, the voice encouraged. Ino felt somewhat nervous about telling the boy about a voice in his head, but something inside her, besides the voice, was telling her that Naruto can be trusted. Naruto, please don't think that I don't want to get to know you. In fact, I really did want to go to lunch with you, but something came up while we were introducing ourselves, Ino began. Seeing that the boy's facial expression changed to one of confusion, she continued, I know this is going to sound strange, but I literally had a voice telling me that it had things to discuss. I have to find out what this is about, because quite frankly, I'm scared of the possibility of losing it. I promise you that once I figure out what's going on, I'll tell you. I don't want to head into this test with both you and Sakura thinking that I'm going insane, Ino said, fidgeting the whole time. Naruto's eyes slightly widened, but not for the reasons most would think. Is it possible? Does she have? She just might, Kit. The Yamanaka clan isn't known to have that ability, but the possibility was always there. I have a few theories on the matter, Kit, but for now, let her sort it out on her own. If my theory is correct, then we need to have a talk, all of us. Kyuubi informed him. What do you mean by all of us? Naruto responded. I'm sorry, Kit, but that will have to wait. I want to be sure about this before I tell you more. Deciding to let the matter drop for the time being, Naruto turned his attention back to Ino, who had a concerned look on her face. At least Ino-chan actually wants to get to know me. Don't be so quick to give up on the pinky yet, Kit. Somehow, I get the feeling that she is going to come around soon enough. Naruto? Came Ino's concerned voice. Naruto gave her a small smile. I understand, Ino-chan. I think I may have an idea of what that is about, but if I'm correct, then it's not my place to tell you. The only thing that I can say is don't let anyone else other than me, Kakashi-sensei, or even Sakura-chan know about this. A good ninja doesn't reveal their secrets when they don't have to. Naruto, one more thing, why did Anabi call you a demon brat? Naruto mentally cursed. He had completely forgotten about his little showdown with the Jonin Uchiha. I can't really tell you yet, but I promise to tell you when I feel the time is right. When I do tell you, please keep an open mind. Naruto gave her a sad smile and took off towards his favorite place to eat, Ichiraku ramen. As she watched him leave, Ino couldn't help but mentally ask herself, what did he mean by that? The voice decided to answer that question. I have an idea of what he's talking about, but that isn't something that I will directly talk about. That said, I have a feeling that you will find out very soon. Now, go find a place where we won't be disturbed. This is going to take a while. 30 minutes later, Haruno main household. As Sakura arrived home after her team's first meeting, she noticed that her mother, Sami Haruno, seemed a bit aggravated. This caused the pink-haired teen to frown a bit, having an idea of why her mother was in such a mood. It's him, isn't it? Sakura asked in a disgusted tone. Sami turned to see her daughter standing in the doorway of the family room. The Jonin mother simply sighed. Yes, honey, it's about your stepfather. Hokage Haruno, Sakura's stepfather, was a civilian, but he wasn't just any civilian. He was a civilian council member. It was no secret among the ninja population that Sami did not marry Hokage by choice. Her parents, despite being Harunos, weren't ninjas and didn't approve Sami becoming one. In the Haruno family, most of the ninjas and the civilians didn't get along with each other. When she was younger, Sami managed to convince her parents to let her become a kunoichi. Although her parents eventually relented, they told her that they reserved the right to marry her off to anyone of their choosing. Believing that the trade-off would be fair, she accepted. Unfortunately, her parents had a lapse in judgment, and married her off to one of the village's sexist men, Hokage. The only reason he had changed his name was because Sami belonged to a clan. He used his status as a council member to get what he wanted when he could. Granted, he couldn't do very much to her since she was a kunoichi, but since Sakura was technically a civilian for most of her life up until now, he made her do all of the chores and treated her like a second-class citizen. Whenever Sami tried to intervene, he would threaten to sell her into slavery. Unfortunately, money allowed him to do a lot of things. One day after another incident involving a group of kids teasing the pinkette about her forehead, Sakura had told her mother that she wanted to become a ninja. At first, Sami was happy that Sakura wanted to follow in her footsteps, but realized that Hokage would never allow such a thing, seeing as he would lose a lot of control over her. Thankfully, the Sandaime knew of the situation, and when the sexist council member forbade her from entering the academy, Sarutobi immediately told him that since at least one of her parents was a ninja of Konoha, by law, Sakura was allowed the opportunity to enter the academy. Hokage had no choice but to obey, but it didn't end there. On Sakura's first day at the academy, she immediately became the target of Ami and her two friends. Sami decided to follow her daughter to school for that first day without anyone else knowing, including Sakura. She discovered that Ami's father was Ijimeko, another civilian council member who just happened to be good friends with her husband. She wondered why Ami would choose her daughter as a target, but got her answer when Sakura came home that night with Hokage waiting for her with a fake smile on his face while asking her how her first day at the academy was. From that point on, she knew that Hokage was indirectly responsible for Sakura's low self-esteem. Because of this, most of the boys weren't interested in her since she was viewed as a weakling. Despite all that, Sakura managed to bring home good grades, much to the dismay of Hokage. To add insult to injury, there was one boy who was attracted to her, Naruto Uzumaki. While Sami knew better and didn't see the boy as the Kyuubi, Hokage, like every member of the civilian council, hated the boy, but not for the same reasons. No, he hated the boy simply because as long as there was someone his age trying to give Sakura confidence in herself, she wouldn't break like he wanted. However, Sami's heart sank as Sasuke Uchiha arrived on the scene, leaving nearly all of the girls in the class starstruck, including Sakura. Hokage seemed quite happy since it distracted Sakura from becoming a good kunoichi, and was even better since the girl was unknowingly treating her only other savior like dirt. That is, until yesterday. When Sakura graduated, Hokage was furious. Because Sakura graduated and became a genin, she was no longer under the civilian council's control. Coming back to the present, it was obvious that Hokage found out who was on Sakura's team. It was obvious to Sami that Ami was the one to let loose that information to her father, who in turn, informed Hokage. The bastard had demanded that Sami go to the Hokage and force him to change the teams. When Sami refused, he threatened to kick her and Sakura out onto the street, but Sami didn't buy it at all. She was still angry with her parents, but she at least knew that if Hokage tried such a thing without a valid reason, they would banish him from the Haruno clan. Granted, the Haruno clan in general didn't particularly like Naruto, they also didn't hate him either. Why do we have to put up with him, Mom? He's done nothing but make our life miserable, and since last year, he makes me uncomfortable whenever he looks at me, Sakura said with a bit of fear. Sumai's facial expression darkened. Around the beginning of her 3rd year, she, at times, had caught Hokage eyes wondering whenever Sakura walked past him. In other words, he was staring at her ass, one of the Pinkette's features that even Ino was jealous of, which was saying something since one boy had described the blonde's ass as a ripe piece of fruit. Said boy ended up in the hospital for a week. I know, sweetheart, I know, Sumai softly said. It's difficult, but now that you are a ninja, at least you don't have to worry about most of his threats. Still, be on your guard and be wary of him and anyone on the civilian council. Jiraiya-sama told me that he found something disturbing involving at least some of them, if not all. Don't worry, Mom, I will, Sakura assured her. Then she remembered what she needed to do from earlier today during her team's first meeting. Mom, I need to go to the Sakura stopped short of saying. She didn't know if her mom would let her, even if she just became a ninja. I see. Did she tell you that it's time? Sumai asked. Sakura slowly nodded, not knowing how else to respond. Sumai stayed silent for a moment before opening her eyes to give her daughter a serious look. At first Sakura thought that her mother was going to tell her that she wasn't ready to visit that place. She was wrong. Then it is time, Sakura-chan, my daughter. It is time for you to fully learn our clan's Kekkei Genkai. It is time for you to learn about the mind pool. 2 hours after Team 7's first meeting, Yamanaka clan library. This place should do, Ino said, mostly to herself. At first, she thought about going back home to the flower shop, but with her parents there, she might not get the time needed to try and understand what was going on in her head. Besides, she had heard stories about a few people in her clan's history that had gone insane. She shivered at that. If her cousin Nozashi found out that about this, he would use it to his advantage to win himself the title of Yamanaka clan head, even if she was considered by most to be the favorite to become clan leader when her father stepped down. Nozashi may be her cousin, but she despised him. Many people, inside and outside of the Yamanaka clan, knew about his Machiavellian-like nature. He liked to bully people into getting what he wanted. Nearly all the people in her age group were at best hesitant to deal with him, or at worst, were downright afraid of him. The only ones in his group not afraid of him were Team 9, which consisted of Rock Lee, Tenten, and Niji Hyuga. Her age group was only slightly better, but she now suspected that had something to do with a certain whiskered blonde. She remembered seeing him bully the others while she was in her 2nd year at the academy. Then one day, he stopped messing with most of his class. While she never found out exactly what had happened, she did notice that he would go out of his way to avoid Naruto like the plague. Ino's thoughts were broken up when everything went black. When Ino came to, she noticed that she was in a field filled with beautiful flowers of every color that seemed to stretch for miles. The sky was a strange, but beautiful mix of light blue and light purple. Ah, there you are, came a voice from behind. Ino spun around to see a version of herself, who looked exactly like her except that she wore black instead of purple. Okay, who are you and what is this place? Ino asked, wanting to get straight to the point. This place is your mind. What you see is a representation of your mental status. As you can see, the flowers everywhere mean that your mind is at peace. The light purple sky means the sky is the limit for you. In other words, you believe that you can do anything you put your mind to. As for who I am, I'm your inner self. I knew it. I'm going insane, Ino said in a gloomily comical way. Sighs, no, you're not you, girl. Your friend Sakura already told you about her clan's Kekkei Genkai. That caused Ino to freeze. How could she have the Pinkette's family bloodline? She wasn't related to her, was she? Although scholars from both clans have been studying things like this, nobody ever found any evidence of the two of you be related by blood, and I doubt they ever will. As to how you could have your best friend's bloodline, that too is a mystery, although there seems to be more evidence to support a few theories that are floating around out there. But that is a discussion for much later. For now, there are some things that you need to know about your teammates. If you're talking about that disgusting pervert of a stepfather, then yeah, I know about that. Me and Sakura aren't on great terms right now, but I still see her as a friend even if she doesn't. I swear if that bastard touches her, I will rip his throat out if Naruto doesn't do it first. Ino said coldly. Well, at least you know that much. It saves time and allows us to talk about your other teammate. Inner Ino continued. Naruto, Ino whispered. Yes, Naruto-kun. Inner Ino confirmed. Naruto-kun? Oh, come off it, girl. You know you're starting to like him. What are T talking about? Inner stuttered. In the real world, she was blushing like crazy. Please. It started the instant he was prepared to kill a full-fledged jonin for you. You know damn well that selfish prick Sasuke won't ever do that for anyone. Alright already. Okay, I admit that he's interesting, but I'm not ready to admit that a thing for him. Yet. Ino thought the last part. Inner Ino heard it, but decided to drop it for now. There were more important things to talk about. Fine. I'll let it slide for now. Thank you? You said that there was something that I needed to know about Naruto. Yes, Inner Ino responded, becoming serious. Before I say anything else, I need you to answer something for me. Ino nodded, silently urging her inner self to continue. Inner Ino produced 2 items that Ino easily recognized out of thin air. Now then, what are these? It seemed strange to answer such an easy question, but the blonde figured that there was a purpose behind her inner self asking, so she decided to go ahead and humor her. That's a scroll, Ino said, pointing to the cylinder object. And that's a kunai. She finished after pointing to the weapon that ninjas see and use in their everyday lives. Inner Ino nods and begins to open the scroll. She then places the kunai on top of the scroll before pumping a small amount of chakra into the scroll. The kunai disappears, but Ino notices that the kanji kunai now shows up the scroll. What is it now? Still a scroll, Ino deadpanned as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Very good. You passed my test. Inner Ino grinned. Test? Inquired a confused Ino. You'll understand in time. Now then, let's talk, Inner Ino said seriously. Ino saw this and wondered just what this was about exactly. She would find out soon, and it would change her life in more ways than one. What if Naruto has harem with Ino and Sakura? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.